What a way to start the Memorial Day weekend here at Great American Ballpark, where the first place Cincinnati Reds will open a weekend series with the Houston Astros. Thanks for joining us tonight here at Great American. Paul Keels and the Cowboy, Jeff Brandley. Been looking forward to this for a long time, Cowboy.
I have too, buddy. It's going to be a good one.
It certainly is, and it's been a great run lately for the Reds. First place by a half game now, with the Cardinals winning in Chicago, but the long ball certainly has been a big part of what this success has been about.
You know, and it's funny that this club has been able to do it all through the lineup, and normally you see a ball club that may have their 3, 4, and 5 guys and maybe one other guy in the lineup, but you look up and down that list, that's 9 guys. Well, you can only play 8 position players, and you can see guys that don't even start every day up in the top of that list.
They certainly have been able to deliver with it, and a guy that's also going to deliver is Scott Rowland. This was someone we knew he could bring this type of offense when he was traded here, Jeff.
Well, he only had 10 home runs last year, and now he's hitting the ball probably as well as he has when he was playing back in St. Louis in his early days in Philly. A lot of that has to do with the fact that he is off of the turf and onto a natural surface. That turf really messes up your back and the bottom of your legs, and that for Rowland is really helping him.
It certainly is. Sam LeCure will make his major league debut tonight as the Reds open a series with the Astros here at Great American. High definition courtesy of H.H. Gregg, and with the holiday weekend upon us and a big weekend series here at Great American, time to get a check on what the weather will be like from WKRC's Tim Hedrick.
I see there's a new team in town to put a hurt on. There have been a few isolated thunderstorms across the area this afternoon. That's possible this evening. They will be isolated, and then mostly clear skies take over. 81 for first pitch, down to 75 by 11 o'clock. Have a good game.
And we look forward to that, Tim. Wandy Rodriguez, Cowboy, will be on the mound for the Astros.
Well, he was the Astros pitcher of the year last year, Paul, and he really threw the ball awfully well, and especially when he pitched against the Reds. The record doesn't show it. He was only 3-2, but he had a 1.50 earned run average in the 30 innings that he pitched over the 5 games started. The only one bad game that he had, he gave up 10 hits and 6 unearned runs.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Sam LeCure makes his major league debut for the Reds tonight. We'll be right back. River, probably from up around Eden Park as you get ready for the Reds and the Astros to kick off this weekend series here at Great American Ballpark, and Sam LeCure making his major league debut.
He will be the 6th draft pick that will make it to the big leagues from the 2005 draft. Jay Bruce, of course, playing right field. Jeff Stevens, who was a 6th-round pick over with the Cubs. Carlos Fisher, Adam Rosales, now with the A's, and Logan Ondrusek. And Big Sam out there right now. And we'll get a look at Brad Mills' lineup that he will trot out there, and where the Houston Astros have been struggling, Jeff. Paul, it just seems like they can't get everybody going on the same page. And when you don't have guys hitting that you expect to hit, such as Carlos Lee, you know, 199 for your number 4 guy is probably not going to work it. And that's one of the reasons that Brad has put Lance Berkman behind Lee. But now you've got nobody hitting behind Lance Berkman, at least in that lineup.
And Sam LeCure activated today, and Nario Del Rosario was optioned back to Louisville. And Sam LeCure coming off of his last outing, a very, very impressive one for the Bats.
Well, he has thrown the ball, I guess, probably as well as he ever has in his whole life, and that includes his couple of years being a Longhorn at the University of Texas. He's now in AAA, now in the big leagues, 5-2. You saw the numbers up on the board, but a 1-hit shutout and throwing 9 innings and staying under 100 pitches. I think he's starting to understand what it takes to pitch up here.
Yes, that was last week in a win at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. There's Sam LeCure from Jefferson City, Missouri. And the forward defensive lineup for the Reds, you will notice probably more than anything the absence of whom you usually will see at first base. Joey Votto once again with a bad neck, not going tonight. Miguel Cairo, who's been on a nice little run here, will be manning first base.
Cairo has swung the bat better than I think anybody thought that he would, especially from the fact that he's really not had a whole lot of plate appearances, and all of a sudden he starts, and 3 hits in last night's game, and then the 2 starts before that, he was 2 for 4 in both games.
And Dusty Baker's been able to play him all over the infield. First base, third base. So Miguel Cairo down there at first base tonight. And Sam LeCure We'll start the night off by dealing with Houston's speedy center fielder Michael Bourne. The first of 3 for the weekend here at Great American Ballpark. In that game we referenced that Sam LeCure had last week for Louisville against Scranton. Went 9 innings, just a 1-hitter, a 5-0 win for the Bats. Struck out 5 and walked just 2. Gets his first major league strike to Michael Bourne.
He threw a fastball on the first pitch, Paul. It looked like it was right down Broadway, and Adrian Johnson didn't give him the call.
You got to earn that.
There you go. It's the big leagues, baby.
Bourne yesterday in the finale for Houston and Milwaukee in a game that they lost for the collar. 0 for 4.
You have to feel for Sam LeCure when you sit where I am right now. I can remember that first major league outing and your mouth drying up so much you couldn't even get any saliva.
Who was it against?
Atlanta Braves.
Well, that's a nice start if you can get it to start like that. For the first out of the inning. Who was the first batter? Leadoff batter.
First batter was Andres Thomas, and mine didn't turn out like this. Watch this ball run back to the heart of the plate. That's a 2-seam fastball, and you can see the 2 fingers there right on the pitch right before he lets it go. Nice, easy mechanics, nothing fancy, just basic and getting the ball to the plate.
So Sam LeCure gets Bourne to look at strike 3, and former Red Jeff Keppinger will dig in. Sends this to center, but Stubbs with a line on it. 2 gone quickly. It should calm whatever nerves might have been there.
And I think that's a big thing that he learned playing at the University of Texas and Augie Garrido. In order to play for that ball club and play for Augie Garrido, that type of coach, he really teaches you to be mentally tough, to be tougher than the other club and the opposition. And if you can't, then that's part of what you have to be able to do to play for his team. And that's why they win so much on a regular basis.
So can that kind of help minimize a little bit of the adjustment?
I'm telling you, when you come and you're pitching at this level, there's so many things that are going through your mind. Your dreams have come true. You've worked your whole life to get to this point, and once you go between those lines, you got to forget about all that. And that's part of learning how to be mentally tough.
Hunter Pence, the right fielder, the 2-out hitter, a 3-hit game yesterday. Hunter Pence in Milwaukee. Been a lot of attention focused on how the Reds have shifted their batting order. Hunter Pence has been a guy that's been moved in some different spots by Brad Mills in the Houston order.
When you're in last place, you try.
Absolutely. This one hit where Bruce will give a big chase toward the wall and right, but it is gone. Hunter Pence has gone deep for the 8th time this year to get the Astros on the board.
That's part of the issues with the scouting report that Sam will learn right away. Great pitches that are good in certain areas below the minor leagues, even though that pitch was down and away, it's not a great pitch to Hunter Pence. He likes that ball out over the plate.
And that's exactly where he was able to put the bat on the ball. So after retiring the first 2 in pretty orderly fashion, Sam LeCure now in a 1-run hole. And Carlos Lee.
I like the arm action of Sam LeCure. I liked it when I saw him for the first time in the College World Series. It's the same as it was this spring training. It's nice and loose. He doesn't really have to herky-jerky the ball up there.
How about the struggles of Carlos Lee?
It's amazing, isn't it? And the thing about it is people think, well, has he forgotten how to hit? Has he gotten too old? Or what's the deal here? I think a lot of it has to do with pressure. When you're the guy that they're paying the most money to, it relies on you.
Righted Brandon Phillips. But the Astros do manage a run on the homer from Hunter Pence. 1-0 Houston as we move to the bottom of the first.
Stepped it up over there at first base. We were talking about how he swung the bat earlier, but you've got him in a spot where he's hot right now, so it really doesn't separate you from taking Votto out of the lineup. I almost said Gomes for a minute there. And Stubbs hitting in the number 7 spot. I think he's found himself a home.
It certainly seems that way. Wandy Rodriguez. It has not been a good 2010 so far for the Houston left-hander.
They don't score a whole lot of runs, and it really doesn't matter how well you pitch if you don't give much support.
On the ground where it is fielded by Tommy Manziel in the first out. Secured. Here's a look at the Astros defense as they begin this series playing behind Wandy Rodriguez. Certainly a lot of familiar names from over the last few years of these two Central Division opponents going against one another.
Well, there's one that's awfully familiar, and that's Jeff Keppinger, who was traded to the Astros for Drew Sutton, who is now with the Reds, and Keppinger playing pretty much every day at second base with Kaz Matsui getting released.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty well. Well, Miguel Cairo, who you talked about, Jeff, is starting at first base. 3rd consecutive game that he's been called on, with Joey Votto not able to go because of that stiff neck. Miguel earlier this week with his first home run in a Reds uniform.
And Paul, if you're Dusty Baker and you think that there's any kind of anything at all with that guy right there, Joey Votto, even if it's a little bit of extra issue with his neck, you got a right-handed hitter who's been swinging the bat well. He's played good first base. Why not give him the extra day? And I think that if there's any question at all, you give him the extra day. We're in May.
Joey Votto went into Thursday leading the National League with 31 hits in the month of May. Dusty Baker talked before the game. They've unfortunately found out last year what it is to have to live without Joey Votto.
It's not fun.
But Miguel Cairo hanging in there. There's Miguel, a veteran of many seasons with many teams in the major leagues. Made the club in spring training as a non-roster invitee.
Still trying to do what I believe is the absolute toughest job in the game of baseball, and that's trying to hit off of the bench, because most of the time you're facing the closer or the setup man out of the bullpen
in crucial situations.
Yeah, you're coming off the bench where you've been sitting for a couple of hours, and you're facing a guy that's throwing 96. Well, you're real loose about that tonight. Thanks, Skip.
Cairo 3 hits last night and a couple of runs scored, but he comes up empty on a swing. So 2 are gone.
One thing that we watched Wandy Rodriguez do last year is he does not hurt himself. He throws a lot of strikes, moves the fastball on both sides of the plate. He'll sink it away from the right-handers, cut it in to the right-handers when he's on the inside part of the plate. He's got that big sweeping curveball that he can throw at any time, and the changeup that he'll fade away from the right-handers.
His stuff's always looked good. And certainly the hard luck has really been not only just the team's issue with the Astros, but it has really hurt Wandy Rodriguez with lack of support. Well, good to see Brandon Phillips out there after what must have been a few tense moments watching his situation last night.
Yeah, with that cramp in his right leg.
Tags this one. Brandon Phillips. Bourne moving back. See you later. Tie ball game. What cramp?
Yeah. Well, he's taking his time today. That baby hit the bullpen netting on top of where they sit out there right as he rounded first base.
Long ball number 7 for the Reds second baseman Brandon Phillips to tie the game up.
His bat's starting to come alive a little bit.
It sure is.
Paul, we've seen this time and time again from the Reds, where the opponent will score a run instead of the Reds coming out and just going up, 3 down. They end up coming back and at least putting up a fight against the opponent, and being able to come back and put numbers on the board. That's got to be a good feeling for Sam LeCure in that dugout.
Well, that dinger by Phillips, now 17 consecutive games in which the Reds have hit a home run, the longest streak in the major leagues.
We were just talking about that.
Yes, we were, weren't we? I thought that sounded familiar. And the guy who got the ball rolling last night, Scott Rowland, stands in with 2 out and a run in. He was a few weeks ago when this team was playing in Pittsburgh and the weather was cold. And Dusty Baker was talking about with Orlando Cabrera and Scott Rowland. They were playing to get them to the warm weather.
Got that right. Both of those guys have been huge to this team in the clubhouse.
And chops this one down the line, and he's going to get a base hit out of it. I think Pedro Feliz thought that was going to go foul.
Anything on the grass in this ballpark will stay exactly where it is. If it's on the dirt, it will roll foul. And you can see how close that is there. But that ball started on the grass and it never moved.
So Scott Rowland on at first base with the Reds having tied the game on Brandon Phillips' homer. That followed the long ball by Hunter Pence in the top of the first. Jonny Gomes.
If you check the stats and you look at them real close, you'll notice that the Reds do a whole lot of damage with 2 outs.
Yes, they do. And Jonny Gomes has been a guy that's been a big part of that, and having a pretty good month of May himself. The Reds hitting .310, leading the major leagues with runners in scoring position with 2 outs, to punch up what you were talking about, Joe.
Rodriguez snatched that ball back from the catcher Quintero. I think he felt like he made a pretty good pitch on Rowland, and it got spoiled down the line.
Count 1-1 on Gomes. Johnny last night, while playing in left field, a couple of base hits and a run driven in.
The difference between Jonny Gomes now and the Jonny Gomes that we've seen in the past is the fact that with 2 strikes, he's become a better hitter. He's still going to strike out, but the fact still remains that he's a better hitter now with 2 strikes than he's ever been.
Takes one inside to even that count at 2-2. A .361 batting average here in the month of May, second in the National League for Jonny Gomes.
I'll take that.
Any month, any year. Opposite field. Pence on his horse, moving all the way back, and he does not get to it. Rowland is going to be waved home. Gomes is going to try for third base, and he will motor in with a triple that scores another run.
Well, when I said he was a good hitter with 2 strikes, I didn't mean that he was going to hit a triple the other way. It's just that he locks in a little bit more and doesn't become over aggressive in that count. He's still aggressive early, but yet you saw that swing there. That ball was out of the strike zone, but yet it was elevated enough to where he could drive it the other way.
And he doesn't make the mistake to keep looking out in right field. He picks up the third base coach, Mark Berry, and motors on.
He is hustle with a capital H.
For the second time, he's delivered with a triple in the season, as you see, and Jay Bruce, the 2-out hitter, with 2 in. Wandy Rodriguez has gotten himself into a tough spot here in the bottom of the first inning after his team had staked him to a 1-run lead.
I think when the Reds get to the point where Jay Bruce is swinging the bat with runners in scoring position like he does when they're not in scoring position, this is going to be one heck of an offensive club. And right now they're already good.
And Bruce sends this the other way. Carlos Lee manages to flag it down, but the Reds deliver with a couple of runs. The first coming on a home run from Brandon Phillips. 2-1. Red Legs with the lead.
2-2. Let me tell you something. When you're talking about the statistics of baseball, those numbers, even as small as they look, they are big time when you talk about the difference between first and last.
Our Elk and Elk storylines. Dusty Baker's team with 2 in the bottom of the first to take a 2-1 lead over Houston after Hunter Pence had homered in the top of the first for the Astros. Second inning of work for Sam LeCure, and he's working against a guy that loves to hit at Great American Ballpark.
He loves to hit against the Reds, period.
Lance Berkman began the year on the disabled list. in his career. Lance Berkman, 21 home runs at Great American Ballpark, the most by an opposing player since this place opened up. Yes, more than Albert Pujols.
He, being a switch hitter, obviously helps him to some extent. But the fact that as a left-handed batter, he's got power not only down the right field line, but all the way across to the left field line.
Even down there in Houston, he's been able to take advantage of blasting it over left field.
It's really amazing that he has the patience to be able to let the ball get deep in the strike zone and drive it the other way, but yet he's also aggressive enough to catch one out in front and pull it out of the ballpark.
LeCure got a much-needed strike. Speaking of patience, Cowboy yesterday, Berkman got his 1,000th career walk.
It's amazing.
The 17th switch hitter to reach that level in a career. Pushes this one foul to left field.
Well, he's always been a very patient hitter and not a very wild swinger. And he can get on some runs sometimes, Paul, that you think, who's going to get this guy out?
How would you pitch him?
In.
Careful.
Yeah. Fastball's in, split fingers away.
Ball 4. So Berkman down at first base. First walk given up by Sam LeCure. And he'll now deal with veteran first baseman Pedro Phillips. And now at Papa John's, get any large pizza for just $10. Try one of our large signature specialty pizzas or create your own with all the toppings you want for just $10, or click papajohns.com. We will remind you of that again in a moment. Here's a look at Pedro Feliz and his numbers of the year. Formerly of the Giants, formerly of the Phillies.
He's another guy that you look at his overall numbers and you think this guy's not a 207 hitter with 6 RBIs. It just doesn't compute, but yet that's where he's at right now.
Berkman with a brief lead at first base. 2-1 Reds with a lead. Could be, maybe too slow to get to. Brandon Phillips will get the sure out as moving on is Berkman to second base.
Phillips is still a little bit slowed from that right calf. Yeah, he may, I don't know if he's got it taped or if he's got something on it, but he's still not able to move as quick as he has in the past. You can see him come in on the ball with his quickness, but yet still favoring that right leg just a tad.
You know he doesn't like to come out of games.
So he wants to play. He didn't want to come out of the game last night. They made him.
Tommy Manzella, the shortstop, the one-out hitter for Brad Mills' team. Manzella, just a little over 207, his batting average. Young man who played collegiately at Tulane University. Berkman with a walk. Moves on to second base after the ground out. Taking strike.
It's one thing, Paul, to start out the season and have a tough month of April, or start out the season hot and have a tough month of May. But when you have 2 tough months, that makes for a long way back.
And the Astros have really struggled on the road, which is never an easy place even for good teams.
Well, that helps the Reds because of the fact that they have played so well here in this ballpark.
Brad Mills, his first year as manager, has been the bench coach with Terry Francona up at Boston.
Reds are 17-10 here at home, and the Astros are 7-13 on the road. That doesn't bode too well.
Tommy Manzella wore the collar yesterday, which snapped a 3-game hitting streak. He was 0 for 4 in Milwaukee, and it hit 500 during that streak.
You were talking about Brad Mills. He was the bench coach for Philadelphia when I played for Francona.
Is it so? Chopped in front of the mound, LeCure gets the out, and Berkman stationary at second.
How about the fundamentals there by the youngster LeCure. You don't go to the glove because you've got a shortstop running. You know he's fast. You barehand the ball, pick it up with your fingers underneath the baseball, and immediately step and throw. No time for the crow hop here. Watch the right hand go right underneath the baseball, step, and a bullet to first base.
So that's the second out of the inning. And Humberto Quintero, the catcher. And the number 8 hitter is who Sam LeCure will have to work with. You talking about Brad Mills. I know he and the Creeper were teammates with Montreal.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Chris was talking about that back down in spring training. Brad's son is in the Indians organization.
I did know that.
Brad took over last year. Cecil Cooper was dismissed during the season. Dave Clark, who is back in the normal third base coaching box for the Astros, finished the year as the interim manager. Bobby Meacham, the first base coach, a shortstop with the Yankees during his playing career. There's Dave Clark.
It's 2 pretty good pitches by Sam LeCure right there. A breaking ball right on the outside corner. Then he starts that fastball off the plate and runs it back to the corner.
He's in an advantageous position here against Quintero, the catcher. Berkman out at second base. Sam LeCure down in Arizona at spring training didn't really do anything to get anybody's attention one way or the other.
And that's really his personality. I mean, he's the youngest of 8 kids. Comes from a big family. He's not one to, just say, hey, look at me. He just goes about his business and does it in a very gentlemanlike way. But the fact still remains, he gets it done. That's the bottom line at the end of the day.
And he had to get it done to get about 30 tickets for people to be here tonight. So we were told.
When you're the youngest of 8, I bet there's a lot of family here.
And a lot of friends you didn't know that you had.
Exactly. I do remember those days.
1-2 the count.
Jerry who?
You know him.
Yeah.
He sat next to you in grade school.
There's a guy that sat behind me and threw gum in my hair.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. They had those at your school too, huh?
Sam's got a choice here whether he really wants to put Quintero away here or if he wants to face Rodriguez. Rodriguez is not a bad hitter, though.
So kind of pitch around is what you're saying.
Well, you just make the best pitches that you possibly can. You don't want to give in to Quintero regardless of what the count is. You still want to make him hit a pitcher's pitch. And hopefully he'll swing at a pitch that's off the plate trying to drive that run in.
Ooh. And you can tell by the crowd reaction. And speaking of the crowd, it looks like some of the folks are starting to come out on the holiday weekend to watch this first place team.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even. It is awfully crowded tonight.
Yeah, folks getting settled in. Memorial Day weekend. First place team, a half game lead now with St. Louis winning today in Chicago. Payoff pitch. Ball 4. So the second walk that Sam LeCure has issued, both of them coming here in the second inning.
And I really believe that's what he did there. He got ahead in the count. He tried to make Quintero swinging a ball off the plate. He didn't go for it. He fouled one off down the right field line, which was a good 6 inches off the outside corner, and he went back to there the last 2 pitches, but Quintero not biting.
So Wandy Rodriguez, who, as you said, Cowboy, he can handle the bat up there a little bit.
He can swing it a little bit.
2 out and 2 on for the Reds with a 2-1 lead. Bounces this one where Phillips has to wade through the base runner, but gets it to retire the inning. 2-1. Reds with a lead after an inning and a half here at Great American.
Establishing the fastball, and then everything's going to kind of flow off of that.
Sam LeCure on his major league debut, and he's acquitted himself early on pretty well here, Jeff.
I think he has a good idea about what he can and cannot do and what he does well. You heard him talking about location of the fastball, and we've seen that early in the ball game. We also heard a little bit of that South Texas draw, or maybe a little Ozark Mountain. Well, I'm trying to figure out which one there, but I do know a draw when I hear one.
Really?
Yeah. Just thought I'd tell you about it.
I think I've heard one. Drew Stubbs to lead it off for the Reds, and he almost takes Mark Perry out with a screamer down the line.
It's amazing how much better he has been in the 7th spot, just taking a little bit of that team pressure off of him, hitting in the leadoff spot. And I don't know that he'll go back to a leadoff spot later in his career. Maybe because of the speed, if he can still swing the bat the way he is now.
Looked like he found that right off himself.
Those don't feel good.
No. Base hit and a couple driven in last night. It takes the pressure off. You probably get fewer at-bats than you do further up in the order. But this is a guy, his home run power is also part of the equation that goes into figuring out where ideally do you want to bat him.
He's definitely a 5-tool guy. The 5th tool right now, as far as batting with average, just hasn't come quite yet.
Swing and a miss as Wandy Rodriguez got him a little off balance, and that's the 2nd strikeout the Astros left-hander has racked up.
It's a curveball, and this is Rodriguez's money pitch. This one he drops straight down. He'll also take that pitch and run it right up on your back foot. Start it out over the plate and break it down to the back foot where it comes down and in.
Ryan Hannigan, the 1-out hitter. You look at that average at 338. I think I heard you guys talking on the radio last night, Cowboy. It's really kind of been on a little bit of a slide here as of late, which shows you what kind of a tear he was on earlier to get his numbers at that point.
Right. He was almost at 500 for almost 3 weeks to start the season. Nobody can keep that pace up.
2-1 Reds with a lead as Brandon Phillips has homered, and Jonny Gomes with a base hit to drive in another run. That followed the Hunter Pence solo homer in the top of the 1st for Houston. Ryan Hannigan working on a career high already with 17 RBIs.
That's the thing that I like the most about Hannigan. He still is making quality contact and good at bats with runners in scoring position. And for both Hannigan and for Hernandez, they've done a heck of a job not playing every day and having to have a day or two off and then get back into the lineup.
And now 2-2 on the Reds backstop.
As much as anything, you're going to have a fresh catcher come September.
3-1. Forgive me, is the count. Ryan Hannigan. Walk. That is the first walk given up by Wandy Rodriguez on the evening. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Albert Pujols and the Cardinals take on Alfonso Soriano and the Cubs in a showdown between bitter NL Central rivals. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser, returns this week at 4 p.m. Cardinals beat the Cubs today at Wrigley.
Cubs still trying to get some of their hitting going.
Oh boy, aren't they? What about looking up and seeing that Zambrano was pitching today when he was supposedly in the hospital?
Amazing. Big Z.
Never a dull moment, is there? So Sam LeCure immediately put into a situation to need to drop down a bunt if possible. Hannigan on at first. Gets it down. Sam LeCure. Quintero hits the throw off, and they get the out.
It has been an awfully difficult job for any of the pitchers to move along the catchers, and you can see this bunt here. It comes right back out in front of home plate. Quintero does a great job to follow the baseball, but this is not normally a bad bunt. But because of the fact that you have a catcher running, you don't have one of your normal speed guys out there. And both of the catchers, both Hernandez and Hannigan, they're just not gifted with the ability to run.
And how about Manzella hanging in there on the slide? the shortstop. So a 2-out Orlando Cabrera with LeCure on at first base.
If they're going to tag you out, you got to make them pay.
2-1 Reds with a lead. Cabrera ground out to shortstop in the bottom of the first inning. Hitting over 300 here in the month of May. The move to the #1 spot certainly has agreed with Orlando.
It's been great for both of them. Both he and Stubbs really prospered.
Jeff Keppinger. 3rd out. 2-1. Reds have the lead over the Astros here at Great America. Toyota dealers. The Rusty Griswolds performing tonight here at Great American Ballpark.
I thought that was the PA system playing music, and it ended up being those guys. They can jam.
They can. Very popular group around town. They've been known to pop up at a few evening establishments and parish festivals over the summer months.
Got it working.
And the Reds working with a 2-1 lead over the Astros here at Great American Ballpark. Houston right back to the top of the order. Michael Bourne, who looked at a called 3rd strike from Sam LeCure.
You always have to watch out with Bourne putting down a bunt down the 3rd baseline. You can already see Roland moving in on the 3rd base side. Anything down that line, he is coming to get.
Sam LeCure making his major league debut, and mind reading Michael Bourne. Sam LeCure from Jefferson City, Missouri. Of course, this is a spot that Homer Bailey would have normally been pitching in. Michael Bourne has hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games, but has really done an outstanding job in center field, leading the majors with 7 assists from the outfield.
Speed to burn. Speed to burn.
That's what you want there at the top of the order.
Speed to Bourne.
And that one is going to land in left field for a base hit. Michael Bourne. So the Astros get another runner on. Time for Radio Shack's What Do You Know? 7 players from the Reds 2005 draft have made it to the major leagues. Cowboy, you were talking about this earlier. Jay Bruce, Sam LeCure, Jeff Stevens, who's with the Cubs, Carlos Fisher, Adam Rosales over in Oakland now, Logan Ondrusik this year, and John Axford, who's now with the Brewers.
Axford just called up. He was actually closing for the Brewers the other day, in the midst of Trevor Hoffman having some tough issues.
Yes, he has had some tough issues.
Definitely didn't look the same here.
No, he did. In this series they just finished with Houston this week, I know they had him in a setup role where he came in a close game and was able to hold up his end of the deal for a while. Certainly Trevor Hoffman has been money in the bank for most of his career. Kid came up through the Reds organization. Well, Michael Bourne getting a lot of attention over at first base, as he should, with 16 steals. Has been caught 5 times.
And this is where Sam LeCure needs to get the ball to home plate in at least a decent time. A big leg kick, you're just giving Bourne second base.
Reds with a 2-1 lead here in the top of the 3rd inning. Jeff Keppinger, the former Red. Loved watching Jeff play when he was here in Cincinnati. There was a 3rd, short 2nd, even used him in the outfield at times.
The greatest thing that he could do is what he's doing right now, and that's handle that bat.
And the count in LeCure's favor at the moment. At 0-2, Bourne at first. Nice stop there by Ryan Hannigan. As you would expect, when Sam LeCure walked into the clubhouse this afternoon, he had a lot of bounce in his step.
Everybody handles it differently. You know, there's some guys that are ultra nervous. Some guys go out there and they try too hard, swing too hard, try to throw too hard. And there are other guys that it's just another game.
Bourne taken off. Keppinger grounds that through the hole where Cabrera had vacated. Bourne hits third and will be held by Dave Clark.
And I can guarantee you that Keppinger knew ahead of time who was going to be covering second base, and sure enough, instead of trying to hit it to the right side as you would normally do in a hit and run situation, he pulls it right through the hole. A normal ground ball easy double play turns into a nightmare now for LeCure.
To the guy who's done the damage for the Astros with a stick, Hunter Pence right back up at the plate. A 2-out home run to right center field in the first inning, his 8th long one of the year. So a genuine threat cooking for the Astros here in the top of the third. Keppinger at first, Bourne at third, and Pence gets good wood on this one. Stubbs on a bounce will field it. Run will come in the person of Michael Bourne. The quick throw keeps runners at first and second, but the Astros on that base hit by Hunter Pence have tied the game.
Looked like another pitch out over the plate, and Bourne is right there with it. A breaking ball that stays on the outside corner, and that's a pitch that Bourne handles pretty well. If you're going to throw the ball away from him, the ball has got to start on the plate and get off, and then you've got to come back in on his hands.
So it's an even ball game again at 2-2. And Carlos Lee, with a couple still out there. And nobody is yet to be retired. LeCure will field that soft grounder and get the first out. The runners move up a spot. That tells you the struggles of Carlos Lee this year.
He was swinging at the first pitch no matter what it was right there. I think he was guessing fastball and cuts it loose, and he gets a breaking ball and hits it right off the end of the bat. I'm not so sure I wouldn't walk Lance Berkman right here.
Which is what happened to him in his first at bat. And that's exactly what the Reds will do. Load the bases, set up the force for Pedro Feliz.
Well, it only makes sense here with the situation that you have with Feliz not swinging the bat very well at all. And Berkman, even though Berkman's hitting .235, he might as well be hitting .500 against this club.
In this park.
Exactly.
Well, the inning started with 3 consecutive singles. Michael Bourne, Jeff Keppinger, and Hunter Pence to get the Astros the one tally. They've scratched across here in the third. So down to first base goes Lance Berkman, and Pedro Feliz, who grounded out to Brandon Phillips, is presented with this opportunity, and Sam LeCure presented with a big challenge. Feliz had a taste of the World Series last year with the Phillies. Hunter Pence at first has the RBI that has occurred. He's at second base. Berkman is at first. Keppinger is at third. Sam LeCure getting a taste of the major leagues here.
This is where that sinking fastball can come in handy. You got to get it on the ground and get it to one of your guys in the infield, and hopefully get you a double play and get out of this bad boy.
Got the strike. Feliz hitting .171 here in the month of May, but in his career hits .268 in May, which is the highest month in his career over all his time with the Phillies and the Giants.
And this was the guy that was hitting behind Bonds for a few years and doing well.
Young Sandoval kid has done pretty well over there, third for the Giants now.
He really has. And I think there have been some comparisons with Sandoval and the kid that we have in Louisville, Juan Francisco. He's on the DL now with appendix surgery. But they say that Sandoval used to swing it like he did. Here we go.
Nola. Phillips. Cairo. 2 for the price of 1. The Astros do tie the game up, though. 2-2 the score. It's Ohio.com. Get a complete recap of tonight's game right after the contest by going to FoxSportsOhio.com. Presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. There's a good look at what it looks like out there tonight. Thank you.
Is that yours?
No.
Well, I found it on the floor. I thought it was your pen.
No, we had some pens floating around here. There's a glance over to the northern Kentucky side of the river. Of course, Memorial Day weekend, there'll be all kind of stuff going on all over town here. Miguel Cairo to lead off the bottom of the third for the Reds as Houston managed to get an RBI by Hunter Pence to tie the game in the last half of the inning. Cairo a strikeout in his first at bat. He was the last guy to touch the ball after that inning-ending double play. Scott Rowland to Brandon Phillips to Miguel Cairo, who gets the start at first tonight. As we mentioned, Feliz being with the Phillies. Miguel Cairo was with Philadelphia last year.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He's in a 2-strike hole to Wandy Rodriguez. Of course, Miguel was not active for their postseason run. He, along with Jonny Gomes, were guys in spring training down in Arizona you just didn't really know. And with Lance Nix in that category as well, what their chances are going to be to make this team.
I think every year you have some veteran players that you take to camp that are non-roster players, and you ask them to prove themselves in spring training once again and battle with most likely a young prospect in order to make the club.
Got a piece of that to stay alive, Miguel Cairo.
And probably as much as anything, Paul, is you want to make sure that the guy comes to camp in shape, that he's ready to go. And if you can afford to do that, if the guy doesn't have another club that is willing to sign him, you can take that chance.
And of course, this is exactly the situation that you want a guy like that, with Joey Votto not being able to go. You just don't see teams carrying backup first baseman anymore.
And the thing with Cairo is he can play. He could pretty much play any infield position. I think he would be a little bit short if he was at shortstop, but that's one of the reasons that you have Paul Janisch. Cairo can play the corner spots at first and third, and Paul Janisch can play short and second.
Cairo yanks this to left for a base hit. Well, he continues what's been a pretty good run here as of late for a veteran of over 14 major league seasons, Miguel Cairo. And a look at the Honda standings going into play tonight. The Reds with a half-game lead. The Cardinals won this afternoon at Wrigley Field. You see the Cubs at 5.5 back.
Well, not only being at 28-20 coming into today, the Reds had the second best record in the National League, only behind San Diego. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot right now other than the fact that you're in first place. But come the end of September, there's something they call the wild card.
Yes. Brandon Phillips, who went deep in his first at-bat, stands in.
Everybody likes to be in first place and be the champion of their division or win their division. But in my mind, it's just about getting to the playoffs. And it doesn't matter how you get there.
God, we've now seen wild card teams win the World Series. So,
that's right.
They don't ask how, they just ask if.
A lot of those wild card teams are having to bite the bullet all the way down to the wire, and they go into the playoffs smoking. They're hot and playing good baseball.
Down 1-1 to Brandon Phillips. You know, think about if you're the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox in the American League East, you might be thanking your stars for that wild card with the way Tampa Bay's playing.
Exactly. The Yankees have the second best record in baseball, and they're in second place in their division. Second best record in baseball, yet they're in second place.
Cairo on the move. And the veteran sneaks in there with a steal. Miguel Cairo, his first theft of the year.
Cairo has a walking lead there. And personally, I thought that Rodriguez was going to throw over, and I don't think he thought he was going. He picked the knee up and just came onto the plate.
I was wondering about that. He just maybe forgot about him over there. Big rip by Brandon Phillips.
Well, Phillips in that situation, even though he had 2 strikes, that's the spot where you're really trying to hit the ball to the right side after the steal of second base. And I think Brandon just didn't realize that that's where he was trying to go, or what he was supposed to do. Because in the beginning of the at-bat, you're just trying to get a base hit. Well, that at-bat changes with the guy at second base. You got to hit the ball to the right side.
Rodriguez has now fanned 3 Reds batters on the night. Scott Rowland, an infield base hit in his first trip to the plate. With the big blast early last night from Scott Rowland that got things rolling for the Reds.
Got that a 3-run jack right off the bat. It's nice to run out to the mound with a 3-run lead.
Yeah, I bet it would be. And Johnny Cueto just took it from there, didn't he?
Yeah, he was dealing. Probably could have gone a little bit further if not for the blister in his previous start on his finger.
Rowland. Is it enough? Scott Rowland bounces it off the wall. Waltzing in is Miguel Cairo on an RBI double by Scott Rowland.
Well, now it doesn't matter whether Brandon Phillips got the runner over or not. But if that ball is caught in left center field by the speedy Bourne, that's when it really matters. But you bounce it off the wall as far as he did, you could probably score from first.
Well, that steal for Cairo was big in getting him in that position, and the Reds with a 3-2 lead and only 1 out. And the RBIs have come from number 3, number 4, and number 5 in your batting order. Jonny Gomes, who got the second RBI of the night with a triple, stands in. There's a look at what Jonny Gomes has done in this type of situation.
That's ugly. Ugly for Rodriguez, I mean.
Yeah, I knew what you meant there.
I'm a pitcher. Well, not now, but used to be.
Yes.
I see those kind of numbers, I cringe.
I'm just glad to see somebody else's name attached to it.
You got to face it down.
Rolling at second.
Look at those eyes.
Jonny Gomes' eyes are that way pretty much about an hour and a half before the game starts.
Cross the line and it's game on.
Average of .361 in the month of May to start tonight. Second in the National League behind Christian Guzman. Gomes. Gone.
The eyes have it.
Preview of what will come after the game's over. The fireworks going off as Jonny Gomes goes deep for the 7th time of the year.
It just shows you what kind of player Jonny Gomes has turned into here in 2010. A triple to right field with 2 strikes. And now with a runner in scoring position, he just lifts one right out of here. That was a bullet, too.
Yes, it was. 5-2, Reds with a lead. And with 1 out, still an opportunity for more damage to be done with Jay Bruce standing in. Miguel Cairo with that steal earlier in the inning. his first since September 12th of 2008. And it was Cairo who started it off with a leadoff single to left field.
Paul, I think that's just indicative of what this club is doing as a unit. Not just one individual doing certain things, but everybody's taking the extra base, moving guys along, trying to go from first to third, trying to lock in and concentrate and make sure that you get the runner in from third base with less than one out. Try to hit the ball up the middle with 2 outs and a runner at third. You do whatever it takes to try to get that extra edge on the opponent.
You know, we talked about the home run streak, now 17 games in a row in which the Reds have hit a home run, and it's easy to get caught up in the sexy part of that, but it's been those base hits like Cairo's that have set the stage up.
Well, I firmly believe that if you're on base, whether it's by single or a walk or you get hit by a pitch or an error and you take that extra base, you get to second, you automatically make the guy that's at home plate twice as good as what he normally is, because he's going to lock in more knowing that his hit is going to be a run.
Drew Stubbs will stand in with 2 out after the strikeout. Jonny Gomes back to that long ball he hit, now 14 for 32 with runners in scoring position to lead the league at 438.
Did you see those eyes locked in? I mean, he was on it. Man.
Just one of those line drive home runs that got out in a hurry.
He hit one like that one night up there in those Kroger bleachers. That's a level above where that ball just went. I thought it was going to tear the sign off of it.
There's a look at how the Reds stack up in the long ball department. For most of the while, it was the Arizona Diamondbacks who were leading the way there. You know, you were talking, Jeff, earlier about what the Reds have gotten out of the catching position. Think of now what they've gotten out of the left field position.
There you go.
The tear that Nix has been on as of late. Cool. There's Lance Nix. And Jonny Gomes, the left field platoon, I guess is what you want to call it.
Yeah. You were talking about Cairo earlier. In his last, counting tonight, so we'll say his last 4 starts, he's 8 for 16. Now, how does that happen? When this is a bench player that doesn't even get to play.
Yeah, when you get those long stretches where you don't even get a sniff. Called strike 3 to Drew Stubbs, but the Reds do damage, scoring 3 times here in the bottom of the third. 3-1 is how the inning ended. 5-2 the total score. Right here at Great American Ballpark, the Reds with a 5-2 lead over the Astros as we move to the top of the 4th inning. Paul Keels and the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, along with our friends Jim Day and Jeff Pecoro, prowling around somewhere, and Jonny Gomes with a big blast in the last half inning.
He's had a couple of big blasts here early. A triple one way, a home run the other.
His 7th homer of the year, Jonny Gomes, a 2-run shot. Brandon Phillips also with a home run for the Reds in this game. Tommy Manzella, the Astros shortstop, will be the leadoff hitter for Houston. Sam LeCure has found himself in some dicey situations, but he's gotten helped out from his offense.
Well, now is where his feet are put to the fire. If he wants to get a win out of this, he's got to start throwing strikes and going right at these guys.
Manzella will pop this one into right center. Bruce and Stubbs. Nice grab up against the wall.
Did you see how much that ball carried right at the last second? Now, that's where the ball went out of the ballpark off the bat of Hunter Pence. I mean, this is just a pop-up. And because of the way that the ball is carrying out to right center tonight, there's no wind. I mean, I don't understand why this is. But watch the angle that Stubbs takes right at the last second. Did you see him turn to his left there and have to ram right into the wall? I mean, just a quick left turn, and I mean, turns into a great play.
And it almost looked like that ball that Pence tried to play in right field.
Exactly.
And had to get off the wall. It was a a little of the closing speed there by Drew Stubbs.
Maybe there's some ball magnets out there in that river. Who knows?
Well, we've heard all about when the humidity gets up, the heat goes up, how the ball will carry here. And it was a little starchy earlier in the day here.
Well, here's the swing. Watch Stubbs right at this moment. See him take that turn right there, just to the left, and it runs him right into the base of the wall.
Quintero, the catcher, off the glove of Cairo and by Phillips. So Humberto Quintero will reach base. That is a base hit for Quintero, the catcher. Time now for our AT&T trivia question. Which former Astro holds the franchise season record for 4-hit games with 6? Man.
Cheo. Cruz.
4-hit games with 6. Jose Cruz, you think?
That's what I would say.
8 games with 6. Rodriguez trying to bunt. LeCure. And that will move Quintero on to second on the sacrifice bunt. How about the native Cincinnati and the toy cannon, Jimmy Wynn? That'd be my guess.
That's a very good guess.
I don't know about that, but thank you. And I know from listening to all the games on the radio how excited you get when you get a trivia question right.
Right. That's why I wish it would be Cheo Cruz, but it's probably not.
Nah. See, everybody else gets happy for you when you are that happy when you got it right.
When I get them, I am totally psyched.
As you should be.
Because it's not very often.
I didn't mean it that way now. I didn't mean it that way now. Michael Bourne standing in. Of course, Cesar Cedeno could possibly be a decent guess. Guys like Biggio and Bagwell, the way they slapped it around for a while.
Cedeno's not a bad guess. Think about him.
You know, while on vacation last week, I think I was telling you before the game, I had a chance to read the book The Machine. It was written about the Big Red Machine, written by Joe Posnanski. He used to be a sports writer here in Cincinnati, and he made reference to during that magical 75 season, Bob Watson scoring the 1 millionth run in that year, the Astro outfielder. But Dave Concepcion earlier that same night, they thought Davey had scored it in a game going on at the same time. There was a little bit of a lag in the communication being relayed through the commissioner's office, and then they found out it was Bob Watson. I don't know if Bob was a 4-hit guy, but
down to the seconds.
Yes. Of course, Bob Watson was general manager of baseball for a while and worked in the front office at MLB. 1-2 the count on Michael Bourne.
It's a big out right here for Sam LeCure. Tried to start that underneath the hands of Bourne and run it back over the inside corner, and he started it just a little bit too far inside. Watch where he starts this. He starts it at the hip instead of at the glove.
Count even at 2-2. Humberto Quintero at second base. Nice night rolling along for Sam LeCure here in Cincinnati. 5-2. Reds with the lead over the Astros. Cola. Great seats are available for the Reds-Astros matchup Sunday. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/family. Skateboard deck. Is that what they call those babies now?
That is the part of the skateboard without the wheels. That's the part you stand on.
Or fall from, if you're some of us.
There you go.
5-2, Reds with a lead over the Astros. As we move to the bottom of the fourth inning, Wandy Rodriguez has struck out 5 Reds batters, but he's yielded some big extra base hits, namely a 2-run homer to Jonny Gomes, a solo homer to Brandon Phillips, and RBI base hits from Scott Rowland and Gomes previous to his home run.
He's only walked one batter, and it didn't hurt him at all.
Ryan Hannigan leading the inning off. He received the only walk that Rodriguez issued on the night. Sam LeCure, the pitcher, is on deck. Left-hander Wandy Rodriguez from the Dominican Republic. We're talking about pitching, trying to get people to come Sunday, as well as hopefully tomorrow night. But Jeff, we were noticing nice walk-up crowd here tonight.
This is what you play for, and you come to the ballpark and you put on the uniform. You get this many people in the house. It just makes you want to give everything you got when you step out there.
First place team.
And I think the Reds, the players that are on this ball club are starting to respond in a more positive manner when you have a big crowd like this. They relish the moment versus how it was in years before, where they got nervous when there were a lot of people here. They're afraid they were going to do bad. Playing with a lot more confidence this day and age. Let's hope it continues.
Let's hope. This will be a big fireworks display tonight after the game. These two teams at it tomorrow night here at Great American and Sunday afternoon. We hope you'll join us here on Fox Sports Ohio. Payoff pitch. Hannigan. Manzella. And Ryan Hannigan legs it out for an infield base hit. And Manzella tried to keep it from getting to the outfield, but couldn't get enough on the throw. Now time for the answer to our AT&T trivia question. What former Astro holds the franchise record for 4-hit games with 6 in a season? Lee May.
Wow.
The big slam from Birmingham. Lee May. Sam LeCure offering it a bunt.
That's right. One time school Birmingham.
That's right. Hoover High School in Birmingham. There you go. They like their football down in Birmingham, don't they?
Yeah, they like it in Alabama, period.
Of course, Lee May involved in a trade that really turned this franchise big time upward. LeCure takes away. That was after the 1971 season when Lee May, Tommy Helms, and Jimmy Stewart were traded to the Astros for Joe Morgan, Dennis Menke, Jack Billingham, Cesar Geronimo, and Ed Armbruster.
Oh, wow.
From the late Baumhausen wanted to get speed and shore up the defense. LeCure gets the bunt down. And very similar to what happened in the first opportunity. LeCure ends up legging out the base hit, but Hannigan is forced out at second.
And you can see Sam is awfully frustrated not being able to get that bunt away from the catcher. And the thing about it is he knows how to do this. I mean, he's been doing this since he was a freshman at Texas. They did it every day at Texas, and he wasn't even getting to bat that much.
I'll give Humberto Quintero some credit for being ready and jumping out on that the way he did. Done a nice job behind the plate defensively for Brad Mills' team this year. So one out and Orlando Cabrera.
I don't think there's ever been any question about Quintero behind the plate as far as his ability to catch and throw, block balls, call a game, work with the pitcher. It's just the offense.
Cabrera searching for his first base hit of the night. Pop out in the ground out for Orlando. Still leading the major leagues with 6 sacrifice flies.
He just knows how to play the game, Paul. We saw him take some bases in previous games and in situations where you thought they're going to throw him out, and he made it with ease. He's made that adjustment there awfully easy, hitting in the #1 spot.
Some indications that Ryan Hannigan may have injured that left arm sliding into the bag there on that fielder's choice. Paul Lessard giving him the once over down in the dugout.
I'll tell you this, it's going to take a lot for him to lead the game.
Agreed.
He's Not too much unless it requires a tourniquet. Looks like he snapped one of his fingernails back.
Cabrera reaching to send it the other way. Could be trouble. It is for Houston. It's successful for the Reds as Orlando Cabrera lines it just inside the foul line at shallow right.
Hunter Pence was playing awfully deep in right field, and the ball went up in the air, and had it held up a little bit longer, he probably would have had a chance, but that ball got down in a hurry. Almost looked as though Pence took a step or two backwards when the ball went up in the air.
It did. And LeCure had to hold steady, not knowing if that was going to be caught, so he's only able to get to second base.
This was another base hit for Cabrera.
Yes. And a guy who's already had one tonight, Miguel Cairo, standing in. Singled in the third inning, and then scored on an RBI double by Scott Rowland. Miguel Cairo. In his major league career previous to this season, he has taken residence with the Blue Jays, the Cubs, the Rays, the Cardinals, the Yankees, the Mets, the Mariners, and the Phillies.
Maybe you should have said the games that he didn't play.
I kind of thought that once it started on the list. Houston with some work ongoing in their bullpen.
Gustavo Chacin.
So look at how Miguel Cairo got his major league career started, and he has played all over the field defensively. Starting tonight at third base. To this year, he played 127 games at first, over 720 games at second, 123 at third, 54 at short, over 50 in left, and 13 in right. That was those numbers before the season started.
And I think that just shows you his unique ability to be the ultimate utility player. Heck, he could probably catch if you had to.
Held up in time, so say first base umpire Tim McClellan.
McClellan is the crew chief among this bunch.
5-2 Reds with a lead here on the bottom of the fourth. Had a 3-run bottom of the third. And with 2 on, trying to break it open here against Wandy Rodriguez.
Ball 4. They've got a chance right now to put a whole lot of icing on the back of this cake.
And Brad Mills is going to make the call to the bullpen to try and stop the bleeding here.
Looks like it'll be Chacin.
5-2 the Reds with a lead. Bottom of the fourth here at Great American. Call to the bullpen will be answered when we come back. Rodriguez.
Chacin has normally been a starter throughout his career, but his appearance here with the Astros will be out of the bullpen.
Just joined the team today after being called up from their AAA Red Rock team. Of course, the Astros had to make a move with Bud Norris put on the 15-day disabled list with bursitis and bicep tendonitis. He was scheduled to start the game tomorrow night for the Astros. Instead, Houston is going to have Brian Moeller, who had pitched previously for a while with the Reds, will make the start. And Wandy Rodriguez leaves. He had fanned 5 Reds batters, walked just 2, but touched up with a long ball. So the Reds have the bases loaded. Brandon Phillips with the bases loaded. Last time he was able to go deep with the sacks jacked was in July of 2007 in New York against John Maine. Just to plant the thought. Brandon Phillips a homer and a strikeout during the course of the night tonight. As you see, 3 career grand slams for the Reds second baseman.
Well, it used to be where you could bring in a left-hander. Actually, you could just warm up a left-hander and the Reds would fold. Now, doesn't happen. Reds had such a difficult time for many years. Left-handed starter, left-handed guy out of the bullpen. Just couldn't hit him. Couldn't beat him. Now it's a whole different scenario.
You had a heavily left-handed oriented batting order for a while there too. Count 1-1 on Brandon Phillips. Gustavo Chassin tried to nibble at the inside corner. Chassin from Maracaibo, Venezuela. Signed as a 17-year-old undrafted free agent.
Yeah, he played in the Toronto organization for a while as a starter and did pretty good. He has been a fastball changeup pitcher most of his career. And once you lose a little bit of that fastball, or if your control escapes you for a little while, you end up in the spot where he is now, trying to get back to the starting rotation.
All these runners on base, the responsibility of the starter, Wandy Rodriguez. Phillips golfs this one to the left field. In comes LeCure. Right behind him, Cabrera. So the Reds add 2 more. Nice piece of hitting by Brandon Phillips, who went deep earlier. Chops this one into left field. 7-2 Reds.
Tries to get in on the hands of Phillips, and that's the pitch that struck Phillips out earlier, but he gets the bat head right to the baseball. Doesn't hit it out of the ballpark, but in this situation, you didn't have to have a home run. All you needed was a ball over the shortstop's head, and that's exactly what he got.
7-2 home team, and Wandy Rodriguez on the hook for another loss, which would be his 7th if things hold the way they are. And now
they're checking Quintero with the way that he had to go for the baseball, and then the slide at home plate. It looked like he fell across the runner, and I don't know if he fell on his shoulder or on his hand or what it was, but it looks like it's his glove hand. You can see the slide in. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe he turned his ankle as he was trying to avoid. That's what it was. Turned that right ankle as he was trying to avoid the slide of Cairo.
So 3 RBIs on the night for Brandon Phillips. And Scott Rowland will stand in with 2 on still. 7-2 Reds.
And this is really what you hope for early in the ball game when you're playing a club like the Houston Astros. They're 16-31. They're last in the National League Central. They're 11.5 games behind the Reds. The way that you take this club's energy away is pound them early, like the Reds are doing right now.
And that was after Houston struck first on the home run from Hunter Pence at the top of the first inning.
That was a big answer by the Reds, and they have continued to answer. You cannot stop them. You can only hope to contain them.
You've heard that saying used before.
From somewhere.
Different leagues, different sports teams.
There you go.
Chassin can't find the strike zone again on Scott Rowland. There's the Reds with 2 in the bottom of the first after that Pence home run. One of them came on Phillips' long ball. 3 in the 3rd inning for the Reds. A 2-run homer from Jonny Gomes and an RBI double by Scott Rowland were big blows in that frame. Cairo at second, Phillips at first. Gustavo Chassin in relief of Wandy Rodriguez. Rowland. Was it gone? Might it be? Carlos Lee takes it off the wall. Wow.
I don't know if that was close to catching it off the wall, as you said. I'm not sure that he got it right into the glove. That's a long way away. Yep, he caught it. It's a heck of a play.
So 2 are down. Phillips had to go sliding headfirst back into first base.
Well, a normal size outfielder that's not 6'8" doesn't catch that ball. If it's me out there, that might be a triple.
Nice play by Carlos Lee. Certainly not hitting the way the Astros would like him to, but handled left field admirably there.
He saved a few on that one.
Yes, he did. And Jonny Gomes, who's been responsible for a few. An RBI triple in the first, a 2-run homer in the third. Look out.
He is so quick inside. If you don't get the ball right up underneath his hands, he's going to spin on the ball that's on the inside part of the plate. And where he has raised his average, and you're looking at where he is right now, above that 295 mark where he started. He's at 306. That comes from his adjustments with 2 strikes and driving the ball the other way, as we saw back in his first at bat.
After that home run, now leading the National League in hitting with runners in scoring position, Jonny Gomes with 438. If you ever find him a helmet that would fit him right. You know what, the way it doesn't fit him and the way he's hitting, keep on going with it.
It's so amazing to watch different habits of different players, whether you're on the mound or at home plate, or the guys that come to the plate. You see so many different guys twisting things around, turning, and there's your Jonny Gomes. And this is when the game started at 419, highest in the National League. He's just adding to that, as you just said.
Chassin against Gomes, count 2-1. And showing some pretty good patience. The Reds have scored a run in every inning with a second tonight.
And with 2 outs, Chassin he's got to be looking over there in the on-deck circle and knowing that he's got a left-hander on deck, and he's just trying to minimize the damage right here. You throw Gomes a cookie, he may hit it out again. That's the thing that you have to love about a player like Jonny Gomes. He is not going to give up any at bat. Watch these hands here as they come through the baseball. This is in slow motion now, and he still blurs the bat because of the snap. Now that was a fastball inside, and he hit it off the netting of the third base dugout. That's directly behind where he's standing.
2 out, 2 on, count 4, and the Reds already leading 7-2. Now, if you're Chassin and you've seen him yanking around fast on that, what do you do?
The only issue that you have with Chassin is if you do go away and you miss, you're tacking on 3 runs. And that's part of what they're probably talking about right now with Quintero. Okay, you've thrown him 5 consecutive pitches inside. He's fouling them all off. You want to try a change up away here?
There you see what Jonny Gomes has done in this situation that he finds himself facing. 2 out, count full, and a couple on.
They go away. He missed.
He did.
And I think what he was hoping for there, Paul, is just that Gomes would chase out of the zone. But we've talked about this in his first at bat. We'll talk about it again. And you can see the Fox tracks right there. It's going to show you where the pitch is. It's a good bit off the plate. A changeup. Tried to get Gomes out in front. He's not going to chase that pitch.
So Jay Bruce will get his turn with the bases loaded. A strikeout victim and a fly ball to left field. This inning started on an infield base hit by Ryan Hannigan. He was forced out on a bunt by Sam LeCure. Then Cabrera a single, a walk to Cairo. Phillips with a base hit that drove in 2.
This lineup would be something else if Bruce can start hitting in these situations.
Foul. And you know, Jeff, there have been some moments this year where you've seen Jay
come around
against left-handers.
Yes. And I don't think it's the issue that he can't do it physically or mentally. I think it's the fact that he tries too hard to do something special when you have the bases loaded or you have a runner out there in scoring position. I've seen him hit lefties. He's hit lefties all throughout his career. It's not been a big deal. He's hit with the bases loaded and with runners on base his whole life. It's just a matter of slowing the game down a little bit, not trying to do too much, and just do what your body allows you to do. Don't try to hit a 5-run homer. It's impossible.
Gustavo Chessin to Jay Bruce. You know, working with Chris Welsh a lot this year, Chris has talked about one of the things he's seen Jay Bruce do is he's avoided some of that temptation to just wail away at the very first pitch.
And that really affected him a lot last year. Now, he got a lot of home runs like that, but the strikeouts came with it and lack of production.
They're making Gustavo Chessin work here.
See, that's the kind of pitch that you want to see Jay Bruce take in this situation. The pitcher's pitch that's down and away just below the strike zone, where if Jay swings at that, it's just a meager ground ball to one of the infielders. Make him get it up where you can powder it.
Ooh.
Not that up.
And not enough powder.
He's looking dead red right here. That's why you see him go around on this. And you can't guess. You can only react. If you guess, you're going to do that.
Already 7-2 favor the Reds and an opportunity to try and drive in more with a payoff pitch to Jay Bruce.
Walks it in. Good at bat.
So Jay Bruce with an RBI. 8-2 Red Legs.
Sometimes you can only take what the pitcher is going to allow you to have.
And back-to-back walks have hurt Chessin, the reliever.
And Brad Arnsberg not real happy about it. You can see the vein in his neck right there poking out. That tells you that he's not real happy with the situation that's going on out on the field of play. And that's when you talk to your pitcher and your catcher and you say, hey, we're getting hammered here. Let's throw some strikes.
Well, if I understand correctly, that has closed the book on the night for Wandy Rodriguez, who went 5 in the 3rd inning, 8 hits. I believe he is responsible for all 8 of the runs.
This may be one of his worst outings ever against the Reds.
Did you know he'd only walked 1 and had, I believe, 5 strikeouts when he went out? And again, he got touched up with a couple of long balls. Drew Stubbs. Brian Hannigan back on deck. He led the inning off with an infield base hit. We saw him down there in the dugout when there was concern about his left arm. He was strapping on the gear, but he got to shed it to climb into the on-deck circle. 8-2, Reds with a lead. And Drew Stubbs trying to get in on the party. He's been punched up twice on strikes, 1 time looking.
He just can't get the ball over the plate. And they're not warming up anybody in their bullpen either. The Astros, Chessin is out there, at least for the time being. And he's walked 2 in a row now. And there's a chance he could walk up a second run in.
Yes. Oh!
He needs to take Adrian Johnson out to dinner for that call. Thank you very much.
You mentioned Jeff Chessin started in the Toronto organization, made his debut at the major league level, the Blue Jays in 2004, then in 05 and 06 and 07. Spent some time north of the border with Toronto. Signed a minor league deal with Houston to come into spring training this year. Swing and a miss by Drew Stubbs.
Well, that's a 3-1 fastball, belt high, and you see Stubbs come out of his shoes there. That's what you're supposed to do on a 3-1 pitch. You're supposed to try to mash that thing into the river. Now you got to make some contact.
Down on strikes, but the Reds do damage, scoring 3 here in the 4th. 8-2 Cincinnati with the lead. Inning, 2/3 of an inning, 28 pitches, 13 strikes for Gustavo Chessin, and our producer Christian Roberts informing us that was a 28-minute inning.
And the thing about it is the Reds left the bases loaded there with outs right at the end. They had a chance to make it worse than what it was.
And before the strikeout from Stubbs to end the inning, it was back-to-back walks that kept it going. 8-2 Reds with a lead over the Astros as we move to the top of the 5th inning, and Jeff Keppinger will lead it off for Houston. 1 for 2 tonight with a single in the 3rd.
But if you're Sam LeCure right now, you just want to fill up that strike zone.
Making his major league debut, Sam LeCure from Jefferson City, Missouri. Drafted in the 4th round in 2005 by the Reds. Keppinger. Not quite. Tonight is the career-high 29th start at second base for Jeff Keppinger. And with his base hit earlier, he's now hit safely in 7 consecutive games. Did he go? Nope. Sam LeCure, Texas Longhorn. Jeff, you had a chance to see him in some of his college work.
I did. I saw him 2 years in consecutive fashion in the College World Series playing for Augie Garrido. They won it one of those years. And it's amazing to see the kids at that age and see what they're trying to accomplish and see the process of maturity over a period of time, especially with a guy like Houston Street, who was a teammate of Sam's and of Drew Stubbs, and all 3 of them now in the big leagues competing for spots.
Count runs full on Jeff Keppinger, who will be followed by Hunter Pence.
And it's not that they throw any harder or run any faster or anything else. It's just that they get smarter and more mature as the game goes on.
Keppinger to center, and Drew Stubbs has it for the first out for the inning.
And I think for a guy like Sam LeCure, he's gotten much more confidence in his ability as time has gone on. You see that pitch there, there's no way he wants to walk Keppinger or even get close to it, so he gives him a pitch in the middle of the plate with a little bit of run to it. Yeah, he hit it hard, but you got a guy out in center field that can cover a lot of ground.
Well, Hunter Pence has been the guy who's done the damage. What little of it is that there is for Houston to step in. He has driven in both runs with a homer in the 1st and an RBI base hit in the 3rd. He's now driven in 7 runs in the last 7 games, the Houston right fielder. Brad Mills has moved him around in the batting order.
He's moved. It seems like everybody has moved. It has been the juggling lineup except for Michael Bourne at the top of the order.
It seemed like LeCure's picked up his pace here.
He really has. That's a good pitch right there. A 2-0 breaking ball, and he's still able to put it in there for a strike. And Pence will fool you. He chokes up on a big bat, but yet the ball out over the plate he can get to. It's still the pitch inside that he has trouble with, and that's it right there.
Cabrera on the move.
You give him the 2-0 breaking ball to slow him down, Now here's where the pitch is. It's in on his hands. It actually ran off the plate in. It's a ball, but that's a pitch that Pence will chase. But you have to get ahead in the count in order for him to do it, or at least get one strike on the board for him to chase that pitch.
So Carlos Lee. They mentioned that he struggled at the plate, made an outstanding catch up against the wall. Had he not done that the last half inning for the Reds, it would have been more than a 3-run inning.
He timed his jump actually very well on the ball that went out that way. You could see him right before the wall, and then he took that big jump.
And shoots this the opposite way. Jay Bruce can't quite dig it out.
Good effort by Bruce. You knew he was going to come with the dive all the way from the get-go. And the thing that Jay has learned to do out there, and it's very difficult, I think you can only do this just by having great talent, is to be able to dive for this ball, but yet still keep it in front of you if you don't catch it. And you can see his glove just smother the ball when he realized in midair that he wasn't going to be able to get to it.
So keeps it at a single. So the first base hit of the night for Carlos Lee, the 6th knock of the night for the Astros. And Lance Berkman, who's yet to have an official at-bat. Take a look again at Carlos Lee and the catch we were talking to. The one still showed him setting up for it.
Just back to the wall. You saw him make that glance back to where the base of the wall was. He knew he had 2 more steps. The second step, you leap.
And that's the kind of familiarity that usually comes with the home players.
Right.
And as you saw, too, he was going out there with that scoreboard lit up.
And a veteran player having played in this ballpark. And when you're at full speed going back on the ball, you usually know how many steps you have before you get to the wall. If he'd have taken a 3rd step and began his jump, his shoulder would have jammed in the wall and he wouldn't have been able to get as high. We've seen that a lot of times too. You get too close to the wall, you try to jump up, one of your shoulders catches the wall or the padding on the wall, and you can't elevate.
Lance Berkman walked twice, one of them intentionally by Sam LeCure. So Lance Berkman, 21 home runs in this ballpark. Overall, he's hit 49 against the Reds.
And you have to remember that when Sam was in college pitching at the University of Texas, Lance Berkman was tearing it up in Houston with the Astros. And that was back when Biggio and Bagwell were still playing.
Yes. 3rd walk of the night given to the Astros first baseman. So the inning will continue.
And I think that is the one thing of this ball club that is probably the only thing in this ball club that affects Sam LeCure is the fact that when you're playing in high school and then in college, you're watching the guy that you're facing drill him out of the ballpark with regularity, and now you got to face him. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I'm not real sure about this guy. Because everyone else he's faced, he's been able to throw strikes with a pretty consistent basis. But with the guy at first base, he's been around a long time. That's why you have to tell the youngsters, don't look at the name on the back of the jersey.
And could Brian Price going out there saying that's not the worst thing in the world that happened that you walked him?
Probably what he said there. You could see a little chuckle from Sam as Price made his words and then headed on back to the dugout.
Good swing and a miss by Pedro Feliz. Now, maybe not the worst thing in the world that could happen, depending on what you do with Pedro Feliz.
Exactly. Feliz definitely guessing fastball right there. And that's Ryan Hannigan for you back there behind home plate, making sure that the youngster doesn't get hurt.
2 out, 2 on, top of the 5th, and an 8-2 lead for the Reds. Pedro Feliz has hit 2 ground balls and 2 at-bats, one of them an inning-ending double play in the 3rd that left a couple of runners stranded. A much-needed strike for Sam LeCure.
And what he's doing here is just trying to pick up the mitt of Ryan Hanigan. There's no shake off here. You just go with what your catcher is giving you. Hanigan's been around. He's seen these guys, and you just make your pitch.
Broken bat, but there's Phillips to end the inning. 8-2. Reds with a lead. Middle of the 5th here against the Astros.
And Price talking to Sam LeCure in between innings. He's telling him right there, stay on top of the ball, take your gloved side, which is your front side, and drive it straight down into that front hip and drive the ball straight towards home plate. That keeps your hand close to your head, your throwing hand close to your head, and doesn't allow it to get off to the right side away from your head, and the ball will stay true going to home plate.
Ryan Hanigan to lead off the inning. Some of that eventually just become muscle motor.
It really is. It's muscle memory after a period of time.
That's what I meant.
But you get in a situation where you start thinking too much out there and things get away from you a little bit. Especially when you've had to sit as much as LeCure has in this ball game. Even a veteran pitcher would have a difficult time sitting for, like you said, 28, 30 minutes between innings or between times on the mound.
LeCure climbing into the on-deck circle. Ryan Hanigan has been on base twice, and then each time has been erased when LeCure has tried to bunt. He's been caught out on the force in the front end of the play. Of course, tonight marks the end of a stretch of 48 consecutive games that the Reds have used their 5 pitchers in what was their 5-man rotation to start the year. LeCure getting the starting place of Homer Bailey. Hanigan pops this where earlier there was a base hit that fell, but this time Jeff Keppinger takes care of it for the first out of the inning. The Cincinnati Reds face the Astros for the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow and Sunday, don't miss the action either day. Presented by KOI Auto Parts. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com today. Tomorrow night, 7:10 first pitch. It will be Aaron Harang against Brian Moeller. Sunday, Mike Leake and Felipe Paulino with a 1:10 start. Sam LeCure right back to Chassin. He throws him out, and 2 are gone quickly.
The beginning of the year as this club came out of spring training, very difficult time in the starting rotation. It just seemed as nobody could get it right. But once they started doing the things that everyone thought that they could do, and that's getting to the 6th and the 7th inning on a regular basis, this club took off in a hurry. Combine that with the fact that this guy moved into the leadoff spot.
Orlando Cabrera, who has scored a run tonight. He's on base in the 4th when Brandon Phillips drove in 2. And would be remiss if not throwing it out. Sitting up here with a former pitcher, do you know that the Reds pitchers now have hit safely coming into the game tonight 5 of their last 6 and ranked 1st in the National League for pitching staffs and batting at .224.
We were talking about that on the radio last night, and a lot of that goes to Chris Spire. Spire is the one that throws batting practice to these guys early. He's the one that works with them on their bunting, and I played with Spire back in my rookie year, and he's a very intense individual. You don't get by with slop.
Hands up. The ground out. The Reds go quietly in the 1st. 8-2. Reds with a lead.
here in right field. The Rusty Griswolds of Cincinnati fame playing for the crowd. They just got done playing some Def Leppard. It is time for our Meyer textbook question of the night. And the big news around Houston is Roy Oswalt, not too long ago, asking to be traded. Do you think he will be traded? Text 1 for yes, 2 for no. 37664 is where you text your answers to 37664. Standard text message rates apply. Well, the results coming up, gentlemen.
Maybe not so much will, but when.
Exactly. I think he's in the mood, if you will.
Yeah. And if he's not, the organization might be now after he had pretty much through his agent requested the trade.
88 pitches now for Sam LeCure. 52 for strikes.
Of course, Roy Oswalt, a three-time All-Star, has just terrorized the Reds. And Zella, the leadoff hitter, won 23 of his first 24 career decisions against the Reds. His winning percentage of .958 ranks as the highest against Cincinnati in Reds history.
Can't beat him, John.
Down goes Manzella on strikes. That is the thirdest strikeout, if my count is correct.
Breaking ball inside, and then he comes back with a hard breaking ball down and away. And Manzella, as a lot of hitters do, when you can show them that you throw a breaking ball for a strike, it makes them go after it with a little more aggression, and he chases one out of the strike zone there.
So Quintero, the catcher, who had a base hit his last at bat. Of course, you know, Jeff, you think back, back to we talked earlier about the formation of the Big Red Machine in that trade with Houston before the '72 season. One of the teams that used to just really give the Reds fits were the San Diego Padres, even though they were the last place team in the National League West. Well, the Reds went out and traded and got Freddie Norman. They went out and traded and got Clay Kirby. They didn't have to bat against him anymore.
There you go.
So having said all of that, Roy Oswalt in a Reds uniform, probably not very likely with a price tag.
Yeah. But I've come to learn in this game, you never know.
You never know until you know. The Dodgers are a team that some of the newspapers have started make mention that it made noise possibly about Roy Oswalt. And it's all Washington Nationals mentioned.
There's so many teams that are still around at this time of the year. The Dodgers have issues. The Nationals are well in the hunt. Even the Braves, for a certain extent, may be one of those clubs that go out and do something special.
Quintero goes down on strikes.
Well, you can really see the change of speeds for Sam LeCure. This last pitch is at 92. The first fastball that he threw to Quintero was 86. 86 threw the breaking ball at 73 and then finished him with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. That's a tremendous amount of rocking chair. You get him on the fastball, off the fastball, on the breaking ball, go back to the dugout.
Well, on the bottom of the fifth, the Reds went in order for the first time, and Sam LeCure and out away from retiring the Astros in order. Corey Sullivan pinch hitting for the pitcher spot. First we saw Wandy Rodriguez and then Gustavo Chacin. Fulcino is working in the bullpen. Brad Mills has had to dig into the bullpen and into the bench. Sam LeCure is giving Dusty Baker a solid night of inning eating.
This is the best he's looked yet. And he's come out throwing strikes on the corners. The breaking ball, that little advice that Brian Price gave him in the dugout about staying on top and staying back, has obviously helped him here. Good night, Irene.
Corey Sullivan down as the Astros are retired by strikeouts all 3 innings. 8-2, Reds with the lead. And it may be the end of the night for Sam LeCure. The Reds ahead 8-2.
Well, if it is, he has pitched a heck of a ball game, and he finished up about as good as you can. When you strike out the side to walk back to the dugout, that's a good way to end it all.
It has struck out 5 on the night, 4 walks, and 3 of them going to Lance Berkman, which, as we talked about, that's not the worst proposition you're going to come across.
Jeff Fulcino will be the new right-hander on the mound for the Astros. He has not allowed a run in 10 of his last 13 appearances. 19th game.
Well, somebody's getting it done in that bullpen then, apparently. Mike Lincoln would be whom we will see next out of the Reds bullpen. And Miguel Cairo, the first batter that Jeff Fulcino will face. Shoots it into right, base hit.
I don't know how he hit that pitch. That was on the ground. Folks, check out where this ball is. Look down here around the dirt. Just slaps it right through the right side, and that pitch is, I mean, that pitch is way down. Look where this is. The catcher's turning his glove over to scoop it. Reds fans, JTM wants to know, how do you 32? Grab a bag of JTM's new 32 count burgers and visit www.howdoyou32.com for more details. JTM, food, family, and fun.
Had some of those going on the grill this week.
Did you know?
Yes.
How do you 32?
Sprinkle some seasoning on them.
I'm a garlic man.
Really?
I like the garlic.
Keeps the evil vampires away.
Onion, garlic, little Worcestershire. Ooh, that's good. That's hot. That's nice. Don't let me break you up now.
Just part of why I've been looking forward to this. Brandon Phillips standing in, and Miguel Cairo, you talk about that ball he hit into right field. This is the 3rd time he's been on base tonight. 2 base hits and a walk. And a steal earlier for Miguel Cairo. Starting tonight again at first base, Joey Votto. Stiff neck, not able to go. Dusty Baker was asked by some of the newspaper guys, might this be a disabled list situation? And there was no answer to that. And hopefully not.
I would think that he would have to really be hurt from a strain or a MRI situation before they put him on the disabled list. I think they would go as far as they could before they put him on the DL. I mean, they would give him a good 10 days before they disabled him.
Brandon Phillips has had 3 RBIs on the night. One of them with a solo home run, the first hit of the game for the Reds. There's another base hit for Brandon Phillips. His 3rd knock of the night.
Some awfully good pitches right there from Fulcino, and I guess you can say that the hitting is a little bit better. Fastball in, another fastball in. Look where the pitch is, in the bottom of the category of the strike zone there, and Phillips able to inside out the pitch, get his hands inside the baseball, and just fist it right out there into right field.
And knowing what the answer is going to be, you like him hitting in this either 2nd or 3rd spot as opposed to where he was a cleanup?
I think that there's no doubt about it. You get to use more of what Brandon Phillips brings to the game. And hitting 4th, you don't use his speed at all. Hitting 2nd or 3rd, you use it all the time. And what I've noticed is that if Cabrera doesn't get on, Phillips does. You look back at some of the ball games, and when they get on together, whoop, count them up.
Headache for the opposition. Scott Rowland a couple of base hits as well as an RBI. Scored on an RBI triple in the 1st by Jonny Gomes following Phillips' home run. An RBI double in the 3rd that scored Miguel Cairo on a fly ball to left field. That was that ball that we keep showing you the highlight of Carlos Lee that he took off the wall and left.
Well, the first 5 guys in this Reds order have scored 7 runs. And there are no outs, and 2 of those guys are off the base.
Got 1-1 to Scott Rowland. There's that homer by Phillips. The first of 2 long balls on the night for the Reds extended the Cincinnati home run streak. 16 consecutive games, the longest in the majors. A 16-game streak back in 2006. Rolling. Pence backing up. Has it just shy of the track. So the out secured, but Cairo advances.
Well, it's twice tonight that Rowland has sent him back to the wall. Just a bit short.
So Jonny Gomes, who has driven in 3 on the night.
Just 3.
Just 3 with a chance for more. Now you get a look at how his night is shaken out. An RBI triple in the first, a 2-run jack in the third, and a walk in the fourth. Jeff Fulcino. He spent major league time with both the Marlins and the Royals prior to ending up with the Astros. Gomes inside.
Well, he's got a good fastball, but he doesn't have the ball. It runs, and I know he's trying to throw a sinker. I mean, he's hitting 95 on the gun, but the ball doesn't go down. He throws it straight over the top, and the ball doesn't sink down. It just runs in on the right-handed hitters. That's why they're able to inside out the ball the other way.
And this is somebody who's made the conversion from a starter to a reliever. Is there some changes you have to go through in that regard with that, Jeff?
Well, I think that sometimes going from starter where you're using 3 or 4 different pitches to the bullpen where you can't have 4 pitches in the bullpen. If you do, you're going to have 4 mediocre pitches instead of 2 great ones.
Gomes has that one get its way into right field for another RBI. Destroy Miguel Cairo. 9th run of the night.
Those are all the same types of swings on the same types of pitch. It's a flat running fastball inside. He just totally misses the mitt on that, but the pitch is the same. It's running in and it doesn't go down. If that ball is sinking, you get a ground ball there and you get a double play. But because the run is flat and it's just directly horizontal, it stays on that horizontal plane. The bat meets the baseball and you find a hole right on the right side.
A 4 RBI night for Jonny Gomes. The Astros are going to change pitchers again. 9-2. Reds with a lead here in the 6th. Here at Great American Ballpark, bottom of the 6th, a 9-2 lead over the Astros.
Tim Burdack comes in. He's got a 5.23 earned run average. This will be the 14th ball game that he's pitched in. 1-0. You can see the stats there. Opponents only hitting 189 against him, but he's got 6 walks in his 10 1/3 innings. When you leave runners on by base on balls and somebody comes in after you, they'll score, and that's why his ERA is where it's at.
Well, the way the Reds have batted the ball around tonight, they will hurt some people's ERAs. Jonny Gomes now .454 with runners in scoring position after that chunker into right field to drive in another run. Remember, he was a man without a country before spring training.
That's right. And I think that's the kind of players that you want to have this day and age, is a guy that's got a little chip on his shoulder, a little something to prove.
And he certainly proved something to the Reds late last season. Remember, prior to last year, he started the year down at AAA Louisville.
Exactly. But he's a guy that has worked at his game. He's lost some weight. He's improved his agility in left field, and just improved all the way around.
Jay Bruce got an RBI with a bases loaded walk in the 4th inning. 4 driven in for Jonny Gomes on the night. 2 of them on a home run in the 3rd inning. Tim Burdack was recently on a rehab assignment for the Astros with their AAA team. So down goes Jay Bruce. That is the 7th Reds batter to strike out against Houston pitching tonight. The 2nd time Jay Bruce has been one of those victims.
There are 5 of them between Bruce and the man standing at home plate, and that's Drew Stubbs.
You see the way the night has worked out for the Reds center fielder. And as you said, Jeff, it's been the middle of the inning that's driven in the runs, with the work the top of the order has done getting on base.
There you go. It's worked opposite of that, and some nights you get the bottom of the order scoring and driving in all the runs, and 3, 4, 5 guys have an off night. But that's what a team makes. You got to pick each other up when the other guys don't get it done.
Base hit for Stubbs, his first of the night. It's going to bring another run in. Pence is going to go to third with his throw. Brandon Phillips will score. Double digits for the Reds.
I think as a fan, that's what you have to love about Drew Stubbs. Even with the 3 strikeouts and the frustration that goes with that, he's still able to come back. You're late in the game. He could just lay it down if he wanted to. It's 10-2, but he doesn't do that. He's still swinging the bat. He's still driving it and still trying to work on his game.
24th RBI of the year for Drew Stubbs. 10-2, Reds with a lead. They seal the deal tonight. That puts them back to a full game ahead of St. Louis for first in the National League Central. Cardinals with a win earlier today at Chicago. Ryan Hannigan 1 for 2 with a walk. Tomorrow night we will be right back with you at the same spot in the same positions. Aaron Harang and Brian Moeller will be the starters. 7:10 first pitch. And then Sunday 1:10 is the start. Mike Leake 4-0, and as heard you and Tom talk about last night, or I guess it was Chris and Tom, saying he very well could be 6-0. Mike Leake.
He could be. He's had a couple of, but he was the one that pitched in the ball game in Atlanta when everything went south, and then he had a ball game here the other night where he pitched 7 2/3 innings, and he came out of the ball game, and the game was still tied at 0-0.
He'll be opposed Sunday by Felipe Paulino, who is 0-7. One of those losses came thanks to the Reds down in Houston earlier in the year. Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend here at Great American Ballpark. The first place Reds and the Houston Astros. Tim Burdack having trouble finding the strike zone. Activated from the disabled list following their game Sunday with Tampa Bay. Had been on from the 4th of this month with a right hamstring strain. Well, the Astros over the weekend got a chance firsthand to find out how good the Tampa Bay Rays are. Walk to Hannigan, his second of the night.
Drew Sutton is going to hit in the spot I can't get it in.
Yes.
Formerly. Is that right?
Yes.
Formerly occupied by Sam LeCure. Man, how can I ask? I'm struggling.
You need a dip of ice cream. That's what you need.
That's exactly right. Yeah, about 8 of them.
So Drew Sutton to pinch hit. Believe saw Paul Yanish down in the clubhouse today. He had been gone, put on the bereavement list due to the death of his grandmother. And Paul could be active to come off the bereavement list tomorrow. But when he was put on that list, Drew Sutton was brought up from Louisville.
And this is the club that Drew Sutton came up with through the minor leagues.
Came to the Reds in the trade for Jeff Keppinger.
Burdack is struggling. Normally he is awfully tough against lefties or righties, just with that fastball down and that hard breaking ball. But he's having a tough time finding the strike zone.
Drew Sutton pokes that one deep. Got it.
That's a grand slam, baby. Oh, against his old team. You think he ain't rocking and rolling right now?
Drew Sutton. Four more on the board.
Wow. Anytime you play against your old team, you want to do something good. Well, that's doing something great. He caught that baby right on the nose, right down the line. Ball didn't hook a lick. See you later, right off the pole. Fair pole in this instance.
Yes. Grand slam home run for Drew Sutton. 14-2 Reds.
This is the biggest lead the Reds have had all year long.
And the 14 runs ties for the most in a game this season for the Reds. They had 14 against the Cubs on the 8th of this month. Cabrera to Pence in right field. Inning over, but it is a 6-run inning for the Reds. 14-2, the home team with the lead. Visit myCincinnatiHondaDealer.com for current offers. And by Grainger, with over 900,000 products for the ones who get it done. Beautiful night down on the Ohio, and quite a night offensively for the Reds, who have taken a 14-2 lead over the Astros. Drew Sutton, his first career grand slam, the 4th such home run hit by the Reds this season, has broken it wide open, and Mike Lincoln will come in to mop it up.
Mike Lincoln on for the 18th time, and he is just trying to get a positive inning under his belt. He had been throwing the ball so well up until the Atlanta ball game, and he has given up at least a run his last 3 times out, and I'm sure he would like to come away with some zeros here.
He'll start the inning off looking at Michael Bourne, the Astros leadoff hitter. There's a look at what Bourne has done tonight.
That 6th inning is the 2nd time the Reds have sent 9 batters to the plate tonight. Ouch.
And we're leaving 5 on base. There could be even bigger outputs in some of those innings. Swing and a miss by Bourne. Drew Sutton with a grand slam.
And it comes against his old team. That's the best part.
Yes. A little high on Michael Bourne.
I think that's one of the reasons you saw all the smiles on the faces of the guys in the dugout as he comes in. He's giving high fives. They all know. Everybody's had a team that you've played for, and now you're playing against them.
Strike 3. Second time tonight Michael Bourne has looked at a called 3rd strike. The 3rd time he's gone down by strikes.
Bourne does not like the curveball, and this baby drops from the sky right on the outside corner, says Adrian Johnson.
And that's the 6th strikeout rung up by Reds pitching tonight. So the guy that Drew Sutton was traded for, Jeff Kevinger.
There you go.
Is the one-out hitter. Now, this big crowd that has showed up here tonight has certainly seen some entertainment with the long ball.
Yeah, the stacks are still smoking.
They are, aren't they? Just a prelude of the fireworks that will occur after the game. Kevinger on the night, 1 base hit in 3 at-bats. Cairo 2 are gone. And don't miss the Joey Votto figurine giveaway tomorrow. The Reds take on the Astros, and the first 20,000 fans in attendance will receive a voucher good for this special collectible of the Reds first baseman Joey Votto, thanks to Champion Window and Patio Rooms. Great seats available for this matchup. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. You know it's going to be busy down around the downtown area here tomorrow with the Taste of Cincinnati going on, so come on down early. Sniff out a good parking spot.
49 restaurants, is that right? I think it is.
I believe that's what I heard also. I'm sure there'll be some of them scooping up ice cream for you.
See if I can't get at least 40 before game time.
And maybe a few afterwards. It's a great event if you've never had a chance to go to it. The Taste of Cincinnati, right in downtown Cincinnati, and then wander on over to the Reds game and go on back up to the Taste afterwards. 7:10 first pitch here at Great American. Sunday afternoon, and then the Reds back on the road to St. Louis and to Washington, D.C.
How nice is it for Reds management to know that they can lose a pitcher of Homer Bailey's caliber and then reach down into their minor leagues and pull up a kid like Sam LeCure, who comes out and pitches basically 6 innings in his major league debut, and then he only gives up 2 runs.
Hunter Pence has really been the only thorn in the Reds' side. Homer at the top of the first, his 8th of the year, an RBI single in the 3rd for a 2-for-3 night.
This organization is in better shape pitching-wise than it's been in maybe ever. And in my mind, I think pitching is the currency of baseball. You got pitching, you got money.
Because there's a lot of people that don't.
You got that right.
Payoff pitch to Pence. Well, he'll walk on down to first base. The 5th walk given up by Reds pitching tonight. And like you said, Jeff, it's kind of good to see Mike Lincoln get out there and get a chance to get something good going.
Right. And everybody needs to get back on that right page coming out of that bullpen.
Carlos Lee with Pence on the move. He'll send this into the gap in right center. Pence is going to come all the way around to score. Lee rumbles into second base with an RBI double.
He hit that ball on the nose.
Well, he had been struggling, and goodness gracious, you don't want to see him try and get his act together this weekend here.
Next week, let him get it together against somebody else.
Because he can.
Yeah. That looked like a slider or a cut fastball from Lincoln, and he just didn't get it down. The ball stayed up in the strike zone, and that's why it was hit the way that it was.
As Carlos Lee started his career with the White Sox, was with Milwaukee, and then a trading deadline move sent him to Texas. And Houston thought they were really doing something by paying him that money to get him in the lineup with this guy, Lance Berkman. And Lee's going to move on down to third base.
Well, as we all know, there is more to a lineup than just a couple of guys. I think you saw that here when you had Griffey and Adam Dunn. You have to have the complementary players to go with them. And when you don't have that, then things just don't go the way that you want them to. You get as many home runs as you want. If you don't pitch good or catch the baseball, you're not going to win.
That pinch hit grand slam by Drew Sutton, the first the Reds have had since September 4th of 2005 off Dan Kolb in Atlanta.
Jason LaRue, huh?
Jason LaRue, yes. Still playing with the Cardinals.
Yeah, Jason LaRue, not a big home run hitter either. Very similar to Sutton.
You know, and we were talking before he hit that ball with Paul Yanish very possibly as soon as tomorrow maybe to come off the bereavement list. Well, the roster decision has to be made.
Yeah. Well, if he does have to go down, at least he'll have a smile on his face from his last at bat.
Count 1-2 to Lance Berkman, who has been walked 3 times tonight, one of them intentionally. And maybe the other two close to intention. Well, I don't know if I'd say that, but
he didn't give him anything to hit.
And how big is that for a guy making his major league debut to understand the significance of that?
Well, it's just the fact that he was able to continue to make adjustments throughout the game, and when he finished the ball game there in the 6th inning, he struck out the side in his last inning. He really commanded the strike zone for the majority of the time that he was out there.
He struck out the side in the 6th inning to finish up his night's work. Berkman goes down swinging. Middle of the 7th, 3rd Great American, and the Reds with a whopping 14-3 lead. The Drew Stubbs comes down with, as you said, Cowboy, he made a nice turn toward the right center field gap to get to that ball.
He had to make a nice adjustment to get to the baseball to start with. Looked like it was routine, and then it looked like it had a little jet engine to it right there at the last second.
And Stubbs also chipping in with an RBI single in the 6th inning. New pitcher for the Astros.
Wilton Lopez struck out 2 and retired all 3 batters he faced in his last time out. He comes on with a 1-0 record, a 4.5 earned run average. This will be the 13th game for the right-hander.
He follows the starter, Wandy Rodriguez, Gustavo Chacin, Jeff Fulcino, and Tim Burdack. 14-3, the Reds with a lead, and a guy who's had a big hand in a good deal of it, Miguel Cairo. A couple of base hits on with a walk, Miguel Cairo, and he has scored 3 runs. And he has got another base hit, Miguel Cairo. It'll be an extra base hit. His pull cued that down the first base line.
Go with the pitch, and that's exactly what he does there. They're pitching him away, trying to sink the ball back to the outside corner. And he just strokes that baby right down the right field line. The pitch is right on the outside corner, and he hits a bullet down there.
Base hit number 15 for the home team. And a guy that's had 3 of them stepping in, Brandon Phillips. And probably delivered the shot that maybe calmed Sam LeCure down with his homer.
I agree.
Came in the bottom of the 1st after Hunter Pence had homered in the top of the 1st to give Houston a 1-0 lead.
There's nothing like playing even baseball when you're out there on the mound. At least you know you're not pitching from behind.
Phillips with a 2-run single in the 4th inning. And then a single in the 6th inning. As you said, Jeff, this batting order, top to about number 6, has really been the group that's done a bulk of the damage tonight.
Smoking. Miguel Cairo is the one that has just been amazing. 10 for his last 15 in his last 4 starts. That's only 5 outs. Out of 15 at bats.
And you know the alarm that everybody has with Joey Votto not playing. You know, that kind of reminds you of what Juan Pierre did last year with the Dodgers when Manny Ramirez was suspended.
I mean, that was for a pretty elongated period of time.
Phillips in a 2-strike hold.
Let's hope it's only just for a couple of days.
Exactly. The pleasant surprise of it.
Yes.
Was kind of the point of comparison.
I gotcha.
You got it. 1-2, Brandon Phillips. Wilton Lopez, like much of his predecessors on the mound, having problems finding the strike zone.
And he only walked 3 coming into the ball game. Struck out 13 and walked 3. That's a pretty good ratio.
He wanted to turn on that, didn't he?
Good running fastball inside. I think this shows you some of what the Reds bring to the ballpark every day. I mean, you see that if you just look at the face of Brandon Phillips and you don't look at the score right above it, you'd have no idea that the Reds were leading by 11 runs. And that's how it's supposed to be. You compete all the way until the last out.
There are no outs so far in this inning. Oh, boy, did he tomahawk after that.
Got him with a changeup.
So Brandon Phillips down on strikes for the first out of the inning.
Fastball in at 92, and then he pulls the string here, and Phillips was way out in front. You could see him leaning back on that back leg with the front foot standing up. Just got him with the change.
For Mike Lincoln, who's now on the spot in the order that had belonged to Scott Rowland. Drew Sutton pinch hit and delivered a grand slam. Remained in the game to replace Rowland at third. And we've heard all of the talk all season, really. Orlando Cabrera, Scott Rowland. Those are guys you got to give them the chance to get some rest when you can.
Exactly. You really have some built-in days off for the guys behind the plate, and Hernandez is that way you don't ruin Hernandez's knees. I mean, he had knee surgery last year and it killed him at the end of the year, but with Hannigan playing on a regular basis, those two will be all right.
Wilton Lopez from Nicaragua. Here's Ramon Hernandez. Lopez ready for a 2-2 pitch to Mike Lincoln.
I don't think Lopez wants to walk the pitcher here.
You wouldn't think so. You know, and spread out over the week too, we've seen Dusty Baker be able to get some of those guys in the bullpen when needed a day or so of a break. Gets in the rundown long enough to allow Lincoln to get on at first base.
And you got to make that ball get by the pitcher, even when it's 14-3, and you can see Cairo shaking his head.
So Cairo taking off the base pass, and up will come Jonny Gomes. And dare we say it, he is one particular base hit away from the cycle.
That'd be a two-bagger?
Yes, it would. Now, there are some who really get thrilled and jacked at the thought of a cycle. Others do not. The last, and I remember this because I was sitting in the press box, the last Reds player that hit for a cycle, Eric Davis, in 1989 against San Diego. And here is Eric the Red. It was a Friday night at Riverfront Stadium.
He definitely had some whip in that bat.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Smokey Joe.
There have been 5 hit for the cycle performances in Reds history. If you guys were talking about this on the radio, or maybe the guys were on the TV earlier this week, prior to Eric's hitting for the cycle in '89, I don't think there had been one since the 50s. So Jonny Gomes, who tonight had an RBI triple in the first, a 2-run homer in the third, a walk in the fourth, and an RBI single in the sixth.
And the triple is the hardest one of the bunch. A lot of people think it's the home run. No, it's the triple. Because you got to hit it in a place where you get a chance to run for a long time, and you got to be able to run for a long time.
Yes.
A couple of different things go with that one.
0-2. Wilton Lopez basically out there to try and get the Astros out of the evening.
And that may be the task that is put forth for Mike Lincoln.
Gomes, base hit. Is he going to try it?
Can't. There's a runner in front of him.
Well, a 4-base hit night for Jonny Gomes. And look at him. Slam on the brakes. Well, you've got the pitcher out there in front of him.
Yeah, Lincoln can't go anywhere.
The last cycle before Eric Davis was in 1959. So Jay Bruce, who tonight has struck out twice but got an RBI with a walk with the bases loaded in the 4th inning.
With the 30,000 plus that's here tonight, I imagine that's probably what it is. They're probably getting, I would say they're getting their ticket worth.
Yes. Oh, right back up with Lopez.
Bare-handed catch. And it is bare hand.
That takes care of it.
Going to leave a mark.
Yes, it will. But the Reds enjoying a 14-3 lead over the Astros. And how about a big hand for the 30,813 who were here tonight?
So it was over 30,000, huh?
Yes, 6,500 walk-up crowd.
Wow, that's big. Let's hope they're here all weekend.
Absolutely.
Push these boys all the way to the limit.
Well, the Reds have now got Miguel Cairo over at third base, moving from first base where he's been.
Gomes is at first, or Hernandez is at first.
Drew Sutton has moved to shortstop, so Orlando Cabrera is done for the night. So Ramon Hernandez will be in the leadoff spot. So Ramon had a chance to play a fair amount of first base last year.
He was great, too. For a guy that none of us really had a whole lot of idea that he could be that agile at first base. Evidently, he plays a lot of first base during winter ball, getting some at-bats in.
Cairo at third on the ball hit by Pedro Feliz. One gone. Feliz hitless on the night. If you remember, too, there was a game late last year because of double switches and all of that. Going into the last, I believe it was the bottom of the ninth, the Reds found themselves minus third baseman, and Ramon Hernandez had to go finish a game at third base.
And he did fine. I mean, he can play both corner positions. I mean, if you can feel the ground ball, you can play first or third. I mean, they can throw the ball.
The difference is how quick it gets to you right third base.
Depends on whether you're all-star caliber or whether you're just over there.
Whether you're Brooks Robinson or somebody else
filling the spot.
Tommy Manziel hit Cairo. Nice pickup. Not in enough time.
Awfully nice play by Cairo, though. Diving down the line, folks, and this is an 11-run lead as he gets to the baseball and comes up pumping. You know, Manziel was smelling that hit all the way.
And a nice effort by Hernandez to stretch out and try and come up with it. Well, it's been one of those nights where everybody's gotten in the end. Humberto Quintero with a base hit, a strikeout and a walk on the night. So the Astro catcher digging in. Jeff Blum is on deck. Stung to right. Bruce by him.
Man, that ball's carrying out there tonight.
It sure is. And they'll hold the runners on a double by Quintero.
Jay Bruce almost threw Quintero out all the way from the wall at the 370 sign. That's a heck of an arm right there. Watch this ball off the bat. Jay is on the move. He almost gets to the baseball. Just did elude him. He picks it up right off the wall and throws a strike to Brandon Phillips at second base.
So an opportunity for the Astros to maybe try and squeeze a few more runners in as a veteran Jeff Blum will pinch hit. In his second tour of duty with Houston. Blum had an opportunity to play against the Astros in the World Series with the White Sox.
It's been a while back. That was in the days of Biggio and Bagwell.
Yes, it was. The only time the Astros have ever been to the World Series, they've been close a couple of other times. They had the misfortune of running into the Chicago White Sox machine.
And they were on a roll at that time.
Oh, yes, they were. Back in 2005. Mike Lincoln getting a chance to stretch it out pretty good here. So the World Series, the White Sox just ran rampage over the Astros. That game 3 that went 14 innings. And Jeff Blum hit a home run in that game for Chicago.
Wow.
How about Ozzie Guillen the other day?
He's a different bird.
The White Sox playing up in Cleveland. Ozzie gets tossed, arguing with Joe West over a balk call against Mark Burley. And as Ozzie has been run, Burley is chuckling on the mound. Don Cooper, the pitching coach, is chuckling in the dugout. Ozzie throws the lineup card back at Joe West, and then a couple of innings later, Mark Burley gets called for another balk, throws his mitt down on the mound, and he gets thrown out. I haven't heard yet whether Ozzie has been fined for his post-game tirade.
Yeah, that was a
colorful,
yes, to say the least.
$14-3 Reds with a lead over the Astros.
I don't think Joe's going to invite him out for dinner anytime soon.
You know, the interesting part was, listening to that, Jeff, you heard Ozzie really did say, hey, Joe West is one of the best umps in baseball.
But he also said that the fans don't buy tickets to come watch Joe West umpire.
and included himself in that as well.
Yeah.
Said they don't come to see Ozzie manage either.
Right.
The Astros back in the late 80s came very close to getting into the World Series. Lost a series to New York back when Billy Hatcher had a extra inning home run for the Astros in one of those series.
That has been a while.
When they hit
Mike Scott?
Mike Scott, yes. Back to the box. Sutton hits the out. The run will score. So an RBI for Jeff Blum. It's the second out of the inning. Of course, that was the New York Met team that then went on to have that incredible 1986 World Series with the Boston Red Sox.
Looks like Micah Owings is warming up down in the Reds bullpen. He may be in there to finish it.
And Michael Bourne will try and keep it going for the Astros. A single and 3 strikeouts for the Houston center fielder. Now the Cardinals won earlier today in Chicago.
Carpenter 6-1. They seem to swing the bats pretty well when he's on the mound.
Yes, they do, don't they? They sure do.
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that he's usually shutting out the opposition.
Of course, after this homestand, the Reds will be right back in St. Louis.
The 2 top clubs in the division going head-to-head on Monday, Memorial Day.
Monday afternoon at 4:15. Bourne slaps one to left center. That's going to bring another run in for the Astros. So Michael Bourne with his second base hit of the night. 14-5. And his first RBI.
Lincoln leaves this pitch up in the strike zone, and Bourne just swings right through it, hits it right over the shortstop Sutton's head.
That St. Louis series that we were talking about Monday afternoon, scheduled right now, it'll be Bronson Arroyo against Jaime Garcia. Horn just goes ahead and grabs second base. Tuesday night, Johnny Cueto against P.J. Walters.
He was brought up when, let's see, either Loesch or Penny.
Loesch. And they say Loesch is going to have surgery now, it looks like, in that forearm problem. And then Wednesday night, Sam LeCure and Chris Carpenter in St. Louis. It'll be the second trip of the year the Reds will make to Busch Stadium. Dusty Baker's team took one of three there about a month ago. .14-5 the score here. Great American. The Reds ahead of the Astros in the top of the 8th inning. And after those three in St. Louis, an off day on Thursday.
The Reds have played well against every other club in the division except for the Cardinals. The last time that the Cardinals were here, the Reds took 2 out of 3. But in order to be the first place team and to really change the look of the division, you've got to beat the club that has been in first place all these years, and that's the Cardinals. And it's not because you have to beat them to stay in first. It's you have to beat them to prove to yourself that you belong in first.
Well, they've been the pace setter without question. Jeff Keppinger, the batter for the Astros.
But I don't think the Cardinals are going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to drop in the tank or anything else. As long as they have Holiday and Pujols and that right-hander Carpenter and Wainwright, they're going to be right there in the hunt.
Keppinger puts this one into deep left field. Jeff Keppinger, is it enough? Nope, but it stays in play, and it'll be a base hit that scores another run. Jeff Keppinger with an RBI double, and Houston chipping away at it here.
The fans are starting to get a little restless with Mike Lincoln, and that's going to be all she wrote.
So has Dusty Baker. He will make the call to the bullpen for Micah Owings. 14-6, Reds with a lead. Johns. Well, Houston has scratched across 3 here on the top of the 8th inning to make it interesting. 14-6, the Reds with a lead, but Dusty Baker has gone to the bullpen again. He has called on Micah Owings to replace Mike Lincoln. 2 outs, but the Astros chipping away with base hits. Micah Owings, 6 of his 12 appearances. He has pitched at least 2 innings, and in 3 appearances has gone 3 innings of work. Here's somebody that just, and by nature of the position where Micah Owings is not getting consistent work, scattered all over.
Well, I think the best thing that could have happened to Owings is getting back in that bullpen. A lot of his career has been pitching in the rotation, but when he gets to that 5th, 6th inning, awfully tough for him.
Hunter Pence, who gave the Astros the only lead they had of the night. That was in the top of the 1st with a solo home run with 2 outs. Pence 2 base hits, a couple of runs scored. .14-6, the Reds with a lead over the Astros. And everybody having fun tonight.
Aren't we now?
Yes. Micah Owings. And the chance to get a glimpse of what you were talking about there, Jeff, with the Pence with that bat, the way he holds it, chokes up on it.
You would think that he could kill the ball that's inside, but yet he hits the ball down and in now. That's the ball he can handle, but the ball that's right at his belt, right at his hands, he cannot hit.
It almost looks like, remember when Rafael Belliard was playing, the bat almost looked too big for Belliard. It doesn't for Pence, but it's almost the same type of address with it.
Well, the bat that he uses is a very large bat. It's got a huge bat head on it. And he chokes up so that he can wait as long as possible. And we saw him hit the ball out of the ballpark earlier in the right center field.
Waves at it and misses. We move to the bottom of the 8th. 14-6. Reds with the lead. Gift, all full price paying guests to the Hall on tomorrow through Sunday will receive a free red mini bat featuring the new 1990 exhibit logo. For more information, call 765-7923 or visit reds.com/HOF. Drew Stubbs leading off. Pops the ball where it is caught by Jeff Keppinger, the second baseman, out in shallow right field.
And Kevin Cash is the pitcher. It's his first pitching appearance ever. He is a catcher by trade. He does have a couple of games started this year, but they were behind the plate, catching Myers and Paulino and Bud Norris. So this right-hander is coming on in a ball game where, well, they needed a touchdown and an extra point to catch the Reds.
Listen to it. Next thing you know, we'd be talking about your Mississippi State Bulldogs out here on the field.
We could talk about that all day.
Yes, we could, couldn't we? Brian Hannigan, the one-out hitter. And Hannigan rips one to the left for a base hit. Second hit of the night for the Reds catcher. Well, it is that kind of night and those times when the managers decide they have burned up their bullpen as much as they want to.
Well, there are certain guys that you can put out there and allow them to get an inning of work or two and still be able to use them the following day. And there may be a situation with the Astros, we don't know right now, where they've had a lot of guys that have pitched and they need to have a rest. They still got 2 more games in the series.
Well, Drew Sutton, who jolted folks with a pinch hit grand slam as part of the Reds' 6-run 6th inning, will now turn around and hit from the other side of the plate against Kevin Cash. And base hit. Smacked it right up the middle. 18 hits in a game now, the most on the year for the Reds.
What amazes me from Sutton's grand slam is that ball almost takes Cash's head off. He forgets how close he is to the batter when you're out there on the mound. But he's normally, because Sutton normally is a better hitter from the left side than he is from the right side, yet he hits the grand slam out right-handed and comes right back up there and rips a single up the box.
So Ramon Hernandez will get his first at-bat of the night. Came in to take over at first base. And he's going to smack that one up the middle for another base hit. Trotting in to score comes Ryan Hannigan. RBI for Ramon Hernandez. And it just continues and continues. And if you're Brad Mills, you probably can't get it over fast enough. And if you're Miguel Cairo, you probably don't want that night to ever end. Keppinger retires him on a ground ball, but Miguel Cairo has had 4 base hits on the night.
The only man that could get him out was the second string catcher.
And he probably will be reminded of that afterwards, you think?
He's laughing right now. This is where you really take some ribbon in the dugout. When you let an opponent put a position player on the mound and he strikes you out or he gets you out on a weak ball, you're going to take it for a while.
Kevin Cash in 2008 was with Boston on the roster when Brad Mills was the bench coach for the Red Sox. Brandon Phillips spanks this one to right, but Pence gathers it in. And we will move to the 9th, and the Reds possessors of a 15-6 lead. USA.com, and you would think it would be a pretty lively and entertaining version of Reds Live, with the Reds owning a 15-6 lead.
No kidding. We're having fireworks during and after the game.
Yes. And Sam LeCure, the guy who may soak it in as much, if not more, than anybody. A successful major league debut. The young man from Jefferson City, Missouri. 15 runs, 19 hits, no errors, 9 left on for the Reds. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors, 9 left on for the Astros. Carlos Lee out to face Micah Owens. He's the third pitcher of the night. Sam LeCure was followed by Mike Lincoln, and now Owens. Right at Brandon Phillips. 1 out.
And what's great about this ball game is LeCure gave you 6 innings of work. You got almost 3 innings from your second guy. Now you're getting a finish out of Owens. This works out great.
And that's Sam's mother, Ann LeCure, taking it all in.
She's got the camera in her hand, and you can see her talking. She's probably like, where is he at? Move where I can get a picture. You're standing over there in the wrong spot. I can't get you from where you're at.
And we were led to believe that Sam needed to get tickets for about 30 people to be here tonight. Lance Berkman, not to jinx anything, hasn't had a hit tonight.
Going back to the tickets for Sam, we said earlier, he's the youngest of 8. So he's probably got a lot of nieces and nephews that are here tonight as well.
In-laws, outlaws, cousins, friends of neighbors.
There you go.
Lance Berkman tonight has been walked 3 times, 1 intentionally, and then in the 7th inning, a strikeout victim to end the inning. On comes Gomes, out goes Sutton, and neither will get it. And Berkman with his first base. See, jinxed it, his first base hit of the night.
The one time that the ball didn't carry tonight.
Isn't that the truth?
If it had hung up there for another split second, Jonny Gomes would have had it.
So Pedro Feliz, who is hitless also tonight.
There you go.
Got to get it right.
Yes. He hadn't hit a ball out of the infield.
No. And really, when the Astros in the 3rd inning had a chance to maybe kind of keep this thing reasonable, he bounced into a 5-4-3 double play that ended the inning. Micah Owens. Micah has acquitted himself again well at the plate this year. He's already got a home run.
Yeah, he's got that swing where he hits that ball to right center field on a fastball. It's a breaking ball. He pulls it out to left.
He just swings it as hard as
he does. He really does. He's still by far one of the best hitting pitchers I've ever been around.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Feliz tags this to center. Got it for the 2nd out.
We got him in the trade to Arizona. He came over. He couldn't throw.
Right.
All he could do was hit. I think he had either 2 or 3 home runs during that time of September. I mean, it was just amazing.
Well, the crowd showing their appreciation for the effort. And there's Sam LeCure's mom, Ann, leading the way. The first place Reds.
Stand up, Sam, so your mom can get a picture.
Yes. Tommy Manziel, the shortstop. Swinging a base.
This place is going to get awfully loud with 2 strikes.
Yes, it will.
If we get to that point. That's the best part about finishing a game. Trying to strike that last guy out, and everybody goes nuts. Heart beating.
Of course, for a while, the Reds had so much trouble with the Astros here at Great American Ballpark. This will be their 8th straight win at Great American over the Astros following an 11-game losing streak to this team in this building.
Sometimes you just got to get even. Now, see, when we get loud, I told you.
We'll just listen. Mike Owens, Tommy Manziel. That'll do it. Big night for the Reds. 15-6. Sam LeCure wins his major league debut. Drew Sutton, a pinch hit grand slam. Jonny Gomes, a 2-run homer. Brandon Phillips started it with a solo homer in the bottom of the first after the Reds had fallen behind by a run. But a nice major league debut by Sam LeCure and a big offensive night. 15-6 Reds over the Astros here at Great American. We'll be right back.